Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Jaded Mechanic Podcast. You guys are going to get so sick of me after a while because, I have another Canadian guest with me today, and that's 2 in a row. And, Uncle Donald, he wants us to be the 51st state. And I'm not really down with that because it's, I don't think he wants to pay the nut for what the country's worth. I almost said company. But, it's pretty cool. We're not here to discuss politics, so that's not what it's about. But I do want to try and always bring up the average and keep it like 1 for 1. 1 Canadian, 1 American, 1 Canadian, 1 American. If I can get a guy from Australia, bring him in too, right? That's just evens it up. So I got a friend with me tonight named Joel McLearn from Nova Scotia, which if you're not used to the Canadian accents, you're going to be like, well, Jeff's got a Canadian accent for sure. But when you start to hear people come, like my guest last night, Mr. Matthew Patignaud, and he's French Canadian, and you're going to listen to Joel and you're going to be like, that's a cool accent too. And that's just the beauty of Canada, is we all are very culturally diverse. So Joel, brother, how are you tonight, man?
Not so bad. How are you?
No, I'm very good, brother. I'm very good. Like I said, I was tired. It's been since we rolled out this the SEMA Apex trip giveaway, the phone blows up. So, and that's how I got where my time screwed up, where I'm sitting there making you wait for another hour. And I'm getting out here 15 minutes late. So thank you for, reaching through the phone and smacking me upside my dumb head. But
it's all good.
Yeah. How's things in Nova Scotia?
No, not too bad.
Yeah?
It's been we're getting into some fall weather, so it's a little cooler right now.
Yeah,
but no, things are going good.
We had frost yesterday morning. I was up launching the fish before dark or before sunrise, and we pulled the plug at like 10 o'clock because my fingers got a little wet, and then they stayed cold and numb. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? The fish are biting okay, but I'm not getting like giants. So let's head her back to the house and get some hot coffee. So that's kind of what we did, and I can't complain. We're almost in October and I'm still fishing, but normally I've been out first week of December before. We had a couple of years ago, we had a really mild fall, and we had one warm day in December where the ice wasn't in yet. And we went out, caught a couple, took some pictures just to show that we're out in December. My birthday's in November. Normally before I would go to SEMA, I'd always fish on my birthday, November 4th. If it was a weekend, I was always fishing and caught some really good ones. Like, you don't get the numbers, but the big fish move up shallow, and then it's they're just gorging, right? Like, if you can find them, they're giants. So, yeah. What do you do when you're not fixing cars?
Actually, I really enjoy fishing. I've not had a lot of time to do it this year just because we've recently moved our shop and house and all that stuff. But I'm more of an evening fisher. I like going out in mid-afternoon, finding my spot and fishing into the evening. I got a few friends that do it, and we like to go that way. Now,
you're in Colebrook? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, Colebrook, Nova Scotia. So I had a friend that's from Nova Scotia, and he's into the fly fishing, kind of doing the rivers for trout and that kind of stuff. Are you kind of the same kind of ideal, or?
I like lake fishing. I'm into the smallmouth bass and perch and whatnot.
Promotive started because a couple industry friends and I were hanging out, and we realized that the number one challenge all the shops that we worked with for many decades faced was finding technicians. You hear technician shortage over and over out there, and we're not bringing kids into the industry today, and there's thankfully lots of other companies out there who do focus on that, but we believe that part of the technician shortage is the leakage coming out of the funnel. The people that are working with shops or dealers that aren't treating them right, they're just paired with the wrong environment, with the wrong owners. The technicians, instead of looking for new jobs and new opportunities, decide to leave the industry, or they get jaded on it. And we believe that there's a fit out there for the right techs with the right shops. And if we do that, then they're going to stay in the industry, and we're going to help, at the end of the day, the shortage by keeping technicians in the field. Promotive started just by realizing there's really not that many resources for technicians. Of course, there's certifications that they can get, and they can advance their skill set by doing hands-on training, or they can advance their skill set by testing, but there's not that many companies out there focused on making the technicians more successful in other areas. For example, knowing what their career path can be if they don't want to stay as a technician in the future.
Yeah. We do, a buddy of mine and his family, they have a camper down in the Chester Basin, so we will go out and do mackerel fishing some. But I do like regular bait fishing.
Yeah. Smallmouth, that's what we were chasing yesterday. So mostly that lake that we were on is known for bigger size smallmouth. The biggest fish of the day was a largemouth, which was pretty unusual for that lake, but it holds some absolute giants for smallmouth, considering it's an inland lake. Like, I'm 2 blocks away from Lake Ontario, which has probably the largest smallmouth on the continent in it. We just haven't caught them yet, except for maybe a couple of lakes in Tennessee that have got them where they have a longer growing season. But right now, like, we have guys pulling 8-pound smallmouth out of Lake Ontario every summer.
Wow.
Which is, like, think about that. That fish is giant. So
we're lucky if they're, we're 12 to 18 inches kind of thing, not, not very big fish.
My PB goes just under 6. And I work with a guy that's had one almost 8. So at Lake Ontario and St. Lawrence River and all that jazz. So, I mean, we're so fortunate. We're blessed. Tell me a little bit about, you said you just kind of moved the shop and all that jazz.
Yeah. So back in 2022, I started my shop. I actually rented a bay, which turned into a couple of bays out of a gas station that I used to work at when I was in school for automotive.
Right on.
Things kind of went south with that whole deal.
Yeah.
So we ended up sort of being forced to buy a space. So we bought it at the end of May, and we moved the shop 1 month and moved the house next, and we're just rolling along from there. So
very cool. So you're a relatively new business owner then? Yeah. Well, congratulations, man. That's that's a big achievement. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Listen, you're doing well for yourself. You're kicking off at 30. I mean, I know people that started younger, but I mean, like, it's you kind of, the earlier you get in, the better, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I'm to the point now where I probably should have done it 10 years ago if I was going to do it. I'll be 50 next month. So it's I'm not going to try and start it at 50. That would have been crazy. But I should have done it at 40, and I just kept procrastinating and whatnot. But congratulations, man. That's pretty cool. So, well,
actually, I had a buddy of mine that I worked with. He started his own shop, and I think he started it at 50. So that was a couple of years before I started mine. So he's been at it a few years, but we'll see how he makes out.
Are you doing well? Is he?
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where he's trying to wear all the hats, right? So he needs to decide whether he's going to do the service writing or booking side, or if he's going to keep wrenching. I've got, my wife does all my service writing, and obviously I do the big estimates or whatever, but she does all that so she can keep me busy working in the bays, right?
Very cool. Have you got a technician working with you?
Not yet.
My name is Alvin. I'm a mechanic here at FS Automotive. With TechMetric, I can do a complete DVI, which is the visual inspection, take a picture, send it to Miss Wendy, the service writer, and then she can inform the customer, and she can send over the pictures I saw. So basically 3 sets of eyes on everything. So it kind of makes it easier on both sides for the customer and for the mechanic as well. So it kind of really bridges the gap. And like I said, customers feel better with it. A lot of people are honest, but there's a lot of dishonest people out there. I'm just going to go ahead and tell the truth, shame the devil. Anyway, but with TechMetric, you kind of eliminate that questionable area, that gray area, I guess you could say, because they can see what you're seeing, and then they feel more comfortable with it. Overall, the system is jam up. I love it.
Because of the move and because kind of how things went, we're a little bit slower right now than what I would like to be. And I don't believe in hiring somebody just for the busy tire season and then kind of booting them off afterwards. So if I'm going to hire somebody, that's going to be it, right?
Yeah, that's not. I've said it before on here, right? Like, there's like 4 dealerships around here that you can count on right about now they're going to throw up an ad to hire a technician or even an apprentice. And then come January, the end of January, they're gone. They're firing them. They're laying them off or something because, the Canadian thing, right? It's a tire season rush, right? It's a twice annual tire season, and it just fills the shop. Some of it's not very great ARO, like you're not making a ton of money. Every car is a chance to look at stuff, but you know how it is, right? If you've got these customers that are just buying a tire swap, you're not really, you might get an oil change with that. You might get a brake job with it. It's good, but you got to be able to convert that work you find. Otherwise, like there's lots of people that can do tires faster, better, cheaper, than trying to, I talk to my friends down in the States and they're like, oh, it's a great supplement for our shop. And I'm like, yeah. And up in Canada, some of them, it's the only reason they started a shop was that to get that twice a year rush.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, if they're not converting on that, you're standing there going, well, what do we do? It's January, right? Like all the tires are done. And now we're standing. I can remember, Joel, like February, March up here, like I'd be shoveling the parking lot with a shovel because we had no cars coming in. We had done everything up to Christmas. And then, people go nuts financially at Christmas time and they had no money.
Right.
So, yeah. So how did you get into the decision that you wanted to be your own shop owner, be your own business?
Well, I've always sort of hustled in different things. I started the automotive thing a little bit later. Like I didn't grow up in a garage or anything like that.
Okay.
So when I finally decided that I wanted to take automotive, I did I went through the program and started the apprenticeship with one shop.
Yeah.
And the shop that I was at, like he was an awesome tech, diagnostic wise. He was really sharp with electrical and all that. And it was really cool being part of his team. But what I found is he also had his wife running out front, right? And there was a lot of difficulties between them. Like you'd watch them and it was nobody wanted to be in charge when things went tough, right? And there was a lot of, well, you do it, no, you do it kind of stuff. And I just got to a point where my attitude got worse and worse because as you know, all of us technicians, we all have an attitude problem at one time or another.
Yeah.
So at sort of at the end of where I worked, I sort of decided like, do I want to go through that, everything's good and then it becomes not good situation, or do I just want to try going on my own? And that opportunity was always there because in the background, I was working at this gas station anyway, right? And they were always kind of in my ear, like, if you ever decide you want to go on your own, let us know and we'll, we can sort of help you out or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it happened, right? Yeah.
Now, as someone then that watched the husband and wife dynamic in the shop, and you have your wife with you, do you see kind of like, was it a good lesson, a good kind of example of what not to do? Not to throw shade at your former employers, but
No.
Sure, Joel must be like, well, I can remember watching this conversation happen, and this is how bad it got. Let's not go there. Like, is it? Because I worked in a shop that was husband and wife, and it was tough some days. It really was.
Well, sort of it's funny you should say that because there were days where I'd go home and I'd look at my wife and be like, if I ever run a shop, you're not working with me because I don't want what I'm seeing to happen between you and I. But in that way, of course, me chewing on my own words now because she's the best thing that happened to my shop because I got, it allowed me to be busier. Yeah. But we do, we get along really well. We work together extremely well. We don't have a lot of issues that way. And I think it's because of certain things that I witnessed that I just said, you know what, I don't want it to be that way.
Yeah.
And she was a nurse before she worked for me, so she can always go find a job.
That's same as the shop I was at. She was a career nurse, and when COVID hit, she kind of was like, I want out of this. Like this is not what I signed up for in terms of the way the I guess I call it the industry, but went for her. So she wanted out. And she'd always been like, because how nurses, their schedules can be varied, right? Like you can work weekends, you can work nights. She had always, even before COVID, had always be, some days she would be in the shop and some days she'd be out of the shop, and some days she'd be, head service writer position, and other days she wouldn't be there. So she was great. But I did see lots of things where nursing, you have to be very empathetic, right? You have to be, she's a Newfoundland. She's a Newfoundland girl. So you know what they're like, right? Like they're
Yes.
so into people, you know what I mean? Like they're amazing, caring people. Sometimes I felt like that was getting in the way of like really making the number what it should be. You know what I mean? A lot of sympathy to the customer. Oh,
discounting on emotion and all that.
Yes, this customer's husband is, or mother and father are going through this and that and the other thing, and that's me, the jaded old dick in the back. I'm like, I don't care if they live in the car. This is what it costs to fix it. Like that's reality. If they don't want to do it, no problem. We'll push it back outside. Let's get to the next one.
Right.
And because we do that where we emotionally discount, and everybody thinks, oh, it's just this one job. I just emotionally discounted this one and maybe another one that week, but I only did 2. You add all that up at the end of the month and it's like, wow, there's some money lost there. And then you add it up at the end of the year and you're like, shoot, there's a lot of money gone. That's our training budget gone. That's our new scan tool budget. That's our new AC machine. So I always was like, I always said, like, if I was going to hire somebody to be an advisor for me, I would want somebody like cold and callous, just like myself. Which, as I talk to other people, they're like, it doesn't work. Trust me. And I'm like, so find that happy middle ground, I guess, So
what works for us is and I mean, it always worked this way, but it works better now. The way our shop is designed, our house and our office are out front and the shop is out back. So now, like, I tell Jaden what we need. She puts it together and she can either sell it or whatever. She doesn't know or care what those things cost. So she just, whatever it comes up, that's it, right? And if I say I need 1.6, I need 1.6. She's not going, oh, well, 1.4, whatever, And because I'm not out there to emotionally care about those things, we sell it more legitimately instead of me being the one that makes those discounts. Because before, we had one bay at that gas station and the office was right in the bay. So every time she'd be like, well, how do you feel about this? I would say, well, no, we can shave it here or whatever. Well, I don't do that anymore because I'm not there doing it.
Yeah.
So it kind of works out that way.
The other thing I would see a lot, and I know I talk to a lot of shop owners and they see this happen sometimes too, is when the wife is at it, the counter is that a customer's, and I don't think they mean it to be disrespectful, but the customers come in and be like, I want to speak to, Joel, even though like your wife is the one that they're supposed to be speaking to. Well, I want to speak to Joel. And then you come out and it's like, then your wife's kind of getting disrespected by the fact that they're not respecting her position. Right.
Right.
And then sometimes you hear their plight and you're trying to make the conversation over. So they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. So it's like you end up discounting it, or you end up putting on a different part that maybe you wouldn't have chosen, or, that kind of stuff, right? You say, yeah, I can wait 3 more months to do. I saw that happen a lot because he didn't really empower his wife to like, this is it. This is the concrete thing. Right. It was always like, if they call, he didn't want to see her deal with a difficult customer, so he would come and get involved. Right. And I'm just like, that's their job to deal with difficult customers. Like, you come in and you take over, and then the next time the customer is going to come in, they're always going to sidestep her and want to talk to you. That's not how 100%. It's supposed to be done,
Yeah.
And I sit there and people are like, well, what the hell? Like, you're just a technician. Because you watch little things like that, and it has the effect at the end of the month of, customer, this difficult customer is allowed to be a difficult customer.
Right.
We didn't empower our people to tell them to, if they don't want to do the job this way, cool. Shake their hand, open the door for them, let them go.
Exactly. I was actually at a course not that long ago. I'm not going to say who it was because, but it was a brake course.
Okay.
And I was sitting beside another tech / owner friend of mine. And we were sitting there, and all of a sudden the trainer said, if your customer will not pay for this set of brakes that they need for, whatever the application, if it was for like a heavier duty thing and they needed to buy this level of brakes and they weren't going to do it, the trainer said, you should discount your labor so that they will buy the right tier of part. And I looked over at Tom and I was like, did I hear that right? And he was like, you absolutely did. And I'm like, like, no, if that customer isn't going to put on what they need to put on, either A, we're not explaining the benefits, or B, you need to send them down the road. Like,
we're not telling about the consequences. I would see this a lot in some of the shops where, like these guys have got workvans, right? Or pickup trucks, and they're pulling a trailer all day long, right? And they want the cheapest brakes put on. Right. And you can put the cheap brakes on it, and Napa's still going to warranty them for 1 year, but that it's supposed to get that fleet line because of how that thing's been using, so that they're not burning the brakes off it every 6 months.
Right.
I've always been of that belief that if I can't sell the customer the absolute best part that it needs, and somebody in that situation is from the parts manufacturers told me, well, you should put the lower end on just to get the job, or discount your labor just to get the job. He's telling me that because he just doesn't want to warranty the shittier shit. You know what I mean? The second grade part. He doesn't want to warranty it.
Yeah.
I want my labor and my parts margin. That's what I want. That's what I'm in business to sell. Parts at the margin that it needs to go, and the labor. We're not here to sell. We're not even really in the business of selling parts first and foremost. We're in the business of fixing cars, which is sometimes you have to put a part on. Sometimes you just got to go in and find the broken wire, Right. This nonsense of like, oh, you should discount your labor to put on the best part. I'm sorry, whoever was teaching you that course, I agree. I just sat right up and said, F that idea. Like, that's not what I'm here for, And that comes down to a strong advisor being able to say, sure, I can put the cheap stuff on, but I'm not warranting it.
Exactly. Period. And my thing is if I can't warranty it, I'm not putting my name on it. Like,
exactly.
I know for a fact there's shops down the road that, and I've told people like if you're not willing to do that, I'm not the shop for you. And no, we're not the most expensive shop in the area, but we're also far from the cheapest, right? And we know what we need to survive, and I know what I'm willing to do to look after my client, right?
Yeah.
And I've never had any issue with Jaden selling that or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely would not be discounting my labor to put a part on that it needs, right?
It makes no sense because so much in this industry right now, especially on, that example of in the classroom on what they're being taught to you guys, you're already being taught most of the time that you're supposed to be doing a free brake inspection anyway. You know what I mean? Or a very
which we don't.
In the discounted amount of time, right? Like, yeah. But you know how it goes sometimes. Like, we don't even get the brake inspection if, say, we rack the car for an oil change and we notice, right? And then we pen the estimate without actually doing an estimate. You know what I mean? Right. Like in terms of or an inspection or any diag fee. That's wrong in the first place too, because like the way my former employer would do it is if I road tested it and the brakes didn't feel right, before I ever even anybody tabled what it probably needed, didn't matter if I could look through the wheel and see that there was no pad left, an inspection was sold. Right. So that we have the conversation now opens up with the customer like, hey, how's your brakes feel? Oh, they've been feeling kind of crappy, come to think of it now that you mention it, right? Okay, well, do you want us to do an inspection? This is what an inspection entails. This is what it costs. If you do the brakes with us today, we take some of the labor off the inspection because the car is apart. I'm all good with that. But we always have to, if they don't have a budget, but they want to know, I got to charge you for the inspection today. Right. No questions about it. I have to charge you for the inspection today because you could leave. You got time to shop around, get a different price, go somewhere else. The car could blow up tomorrow and then you're not going to get a brake job. Like, I need to cover my tech's time for presenting to you your brake problem, right? It's just common sense. So when they do these classes and it's like, oh yeah, just shave your labor so that you can put on this part. Yeah. No.
That didn't fly with me, and I like doing the brake inspection and billing for it because I forget who it was that you had on. They said, if I bill you for that inspection time, then our financial obligations are done. You've paid for your time. You can go somewhere else. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
We're done. And I like the way that, and I've said that to people since then, because that's the best way to put it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. And see, everybody thinks that I can't charge them for an inspection because like they're going to go somewhere else and get their brake job done. But we have all seen somebody come in with where they had it checked out somewhere else and they paid for an inspection, or maybe it was a free inspection, but whatever. Free doesn't mean that they got anything then at all, right? Like a free inspection for me, I'm going to stare through the wheels. That's it. If I can't see, I'm going to test drive it and said it feels like this, like,
right.
So if you mean to tell me that if they go somewhere else and they've already paid for an inspection, I can't sell them an inspection, I can guarantee you I've proven that wrong so many times in the industry. Like they will pay, customers will pay multiple times to get a second opinion.
And they should.
And as they should, for sure.
Right.
But we have to train them that they're going to pay for that inspection every time.
Exactly.
I'm not of the coaching ideas that, they popped up in the conversation the other day that they do. Some shops do a 15-minute no tool inspection on just about anything on the car. So that can be like if you come in and say, my brakes feel funny, they might spend 15 minutes going on a road test with a customer, right? Or by themselves. They might do lift the hood and look at the fluid level of the brake master cylinder. They might get in it and do, there's a warning light on. That's their 15 minutes no tool, right? They're not hooking a scan tool up, they're not racking the car, they're not taking a wheel off, that's their 15 minutes.
Right.
I can see that, but to me, it's always been a slippery slope then, because if somebody spends 15 minutes, somebody else will be, I'm going to give my customer even more value and I'm going to do 30 minutes.
Right.
And before you know it, we're back to a free brake inspection.
Yeah.
That takes an hour. And everybody's like, it doesn't take an hour to do a brake inspection.
To do it properly, it does.
Amen, right? Because what's the proper way to do it? Well, the proper way to do it is if it's got a warning light on, now I'm scanning it, right? If it's got electronic parking brake, now I'm checking the operation of that. If it's got drum brakes, and we live in Canada, how often do they come off real super easy? Not worth a shit.
Never.
If it's got old school parking brakes, right? Do you test them on every car that you use, that you inspect? You're supposed to. That's part of the brake inspection. But you and I know how that can go. If it hasn't used, nobody's applied the parking brake in 5 years, and all of a sudden you pull the park brake on, guess what happens?
Yeah.
You've made yourself some work,
Especially if it's a Dodge Grand Caravan.
Come on, you know how to quote them. They need calipers. They need calipers, pads, and rotors every time.
Yeah. You get the brake inspection for free on that one because it needs everything. There's nothing to inspect.
Junk. Thank God. Thank God they finally put electronic in the back of a caravan, because the manual system locked up constantly.
Yep.
Constantly. Didn't matter.
Or leaked like a sieve.
Oh, the aftermarket calipers, all of them leak.
Horrible.
Every freaking one of them. Doesn't matter. You'll buy 4 and you'll probably get 2 that don't leak, and your luck it'll be 2 of the same fucking side, right? Like,
yeah.
And they blame it. Oh, it's the curbside again. Like,
yeah,
makes me laugh. I'm trying always to defend Chrysler because I love them, but and I love caravans. I made so much money on those stupid. It was great, but that rear brake system just sucks.
Yeah,
new one's
horrible.
better. So, and that's what's always so funny is because like people are like, oh my God, like you're talking about drum brakes. Yeah, I had done thousands of them. Like, I mean, it's not an uncommon thing for me still up here to do them.
Right.
Same with the electronic parking brake. Like I like that. And everybody's like, and at first I didn't. I don't like, and I've had conversation about this. I don't like the fact that some scan tools are locking it out.
Yeah. That's greasy.
That's kind of crappy. But I do like the fact that there's no cables to seize.
Right.
I do like the fact that there's no pivots, like all that jazz. I like the fact that I don't have to pull the axles out, to put the shoes on some of them. I hated that, man. Like that just blew. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But you're not going to tell me the name of this people that was coaching this for you. That's okay.
I would get in trouble if I did.
Yeah. We'll talk about it after. It's all right. What's some of the stuff that you see? Like, is there anything that you see in your area that you could say is like specific to your area in terms of types of failures on a car?
That's a good question. Not, I don't know. I mean,
Like the guys in PEI, I've heard they get that red dirt in a lot of the stuff.
oh yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think around here it's just regular old rust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just this. We're in the salt belt, and we're surrounded by the ocean. So you've got 20 minutes up the way, you go up over the mountain, and you're at the ocean. So if you're working on any of those vehicles, they're rotten or dirt in there. Your dirt roads to get there, and it, other than that, not really. It's I do find though, like for whatever reason, things come in waves at the shop. So like you might have a bunch of tow-ins for no crank, and you're doing a bunch of starters that week, and then you don't see them for a while, and then you'll do a week of Ford F-150 leaf springs. Like it's just weird how things like that, and I don't understand. I know it's completely coincidental, but that's what happens.
They're not fleets with the same age of truck, and you can drive the same roads. Yeah, no, I get it. What?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, what was I going to ask you? It slipped my mind there. Oh, undercoating.
Yep.
Do you do it?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to do it on my day off. So we do Monday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I was doing it on Fridays just to sort of supplement things. And I got so busy at the other shop that I decided, no, I'm not doing it anymore. But that was kind of funny too, because the shop beside us did it, and they had a huge problem with the fact that I came in there doing it too, even though we were using different products. But he was so insecure with things. I was just like, whatever, dude, right?
Yeah.
But I did it for a while, and then I just thought, nah, it's not. It's messy. It takes me way too long because I'm way too particular at doing them.
Yeah, me too.
And I just sort of phased out. But right now at the new shop, I'm in a bit of a slow spot right now, and I don't know if it's because of moving, like I said, or anything like that. Now I kind of wish I had kept doing it.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that it actually helps?
Yeah, I do. My first car was a 2005 Honda Civic that had never been undercoated before I got it, but it drove from the valley to Halifax every day, so it never rusted. It just was always getting washed off on the highway.
Yeah.
But when I bought it, I just hung it in undercoating every year, and I don't know where that car is now, but I drove it for 8 or 9 years, and the thing was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I attribute it to undercoating.
I'm 100% a believer. Like I have a 2015 Wrangler, which is only 10 years old.
Right.
But it is like way less rust underneath than a lot of the 2017s and 18s and 19s that I put on, because it was undercoated right from day one. I didn't own it from brand new, but the previous owner had done it once, and then I do it every year, every fall I do it. And what a big difference it makes, considering, like for me, again, going back to the fishing thing, I'm backing it into the water every week. Like I'm putting the muffler and the back axle right in the water, and yet you go back there, it's still not all that surface rust is all up in it. And to me, it's already 10 years old. If I get 5 more years, because I drove a 96 Cherokee, I drove a 2000 Cavalier, and they're all rotten. Like by the time they were 8-10 years old up in my area and they hadn't been treated, they were junk, garbage. Yeah. No floor. I've put floor pans in a couple Cherokees I've owned, rocker panels. Like I've done all that. The Cavalier, my brother's Ranger, we just got rid of. There was no floors left in it. He never undercoated it. So, I mean,
every single Ranger ever, driver's side floor.
Bad, eh?
Yeah.
Bad because they were good little trucks otherwise.
They're fantastic.
And he comes to me and he's like, we need some tires, we need some brakes. And I pulled up the driver's floor mat. I'm like, no, you need a new truck, dude. Like, there's no floor here, man. Like I fixed the exhaust last year and told you this thing's rotten. Like it's time to get rid of it. And but he's not a guy that's very good about taking care of his vehicles. And it had a 4-liter in it, like that engine that everybody hated from Ford, that 6 with all the timing chains and the cassettes on the back. And like it was still going really good. It had both cats had gone hollow on it, and like 240,000 kilometers on it, the original plugs and original wires. It didn't run great, but it ran. It was okay. He didn't want to put any money in it. But lots of brakes, lots of control arms, leaf spring shackles, all them good paying jobs,
Oh, yes.
But they do rot really bad. So
yeah,
again, at the shop I was at, we were a rust check facility, and we did it. And I saw enough of the cars that had been done 10 years before coming in still, and it was like they were still well worth putting money into, you know. And I tell people, like, my mom's own car, same thing. You can do it every year if you want, but the main thing is to get it done. I want to say probably the first 3-4 years that the car is when you have it. And then if you miss a year after that, it isn't the end of the world, man. You've got a good layer on there, you know, like
Exactly.
it helps. But if you decide it's 5 years old, I'm going to start spraying it now.
Right.
You might better just flush that money down the toilet if you live up here, because the rust is already in it. It just hasn't come.
I'm so glad you said that, because we're going to lease a brand new CRV hybrid. And I told my wife, I said, as soon as it gets here, I'm taking that down the road to the guys at Corrosion Free, and I'm getting them to do it. And she's like, well, if it's a lease, why are you doing it? And I said, well, what if we want to keep this?
Yes.
I don't want it to be too late in 40 months when it has to go back. You know, I want it done, and even if I only do it once, it's got that one layer on it.
That's right.
We're good. If I decide I want to keep it, it was worth spending a couple $100 to get it done.
So you're not going to, when they offer you that rust module, that little blinky light there, are they not great, eh?
I just put an alternator in my mom's car this weekend, and she got the rust module way back in 2012.
Yeah.
And I disconnected the negative battery terminal, and doop, there goes the wire corroded off for the rust module. So how well did that work?
And what makes me laugh is I see the guys and they just tie strap them to the wiper cowl or something. So it's on plastic.
Yep, that's doing it.
That's not, you know, the guy that sells it says, oh, yes, it does. It still puts the charge through the car. And I'm like, show me how it puts the charge through the car. Well, you got the little stick on over here and the little stick on over there. And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That works on boats, pal.
That's right. And the boat thing's got what we call a sacrificial anode, right? You being out there, you know a little bit about boats. They take a block of magnesium and stick it on the boat and stick a charge to it, because magnesium corrodes really fast. The thinking is that we just keep changing that block of magnesium out and the boat doesn't rust near as much. Any outboard engine or any electric trolling motor made for salt water, newsflash kids, all has that in it. That sacrificial pieces that are supposed to, and you change them out. It's the coolest thing in the world. When you stick it on a car, you don't buff the paint off and you just stick it on and hook it up to your battery. Congratulations. You just installed a battery drain module. You didn't install a rust corrosion module, but I digress. It's salesmen make $1,000 when they put them in, so it's a good thing, I guess.
Right.
You know, where I work, we stopped putting them in because it was just like, you know, and anybody that comes in, and I've had customers, you forgot to hook it up. You know, you change the battery, forgot to hook it up. It's like, okay, wink, wink. You're
gonna notice the difference, aren't you?
Right. Yeah. Well, if it's not hooked up, my car's gonna rust. Your car's going to rust anyway, Mrs. Jones. Exactly. Like, it's just the way it is. Well, do you know of? So what's the dealers like around you?
They're not too bad. I mean, they're actually just up the road from our shop, and I kind of like them being there because, like, well, the parts guys at Ford, they know who we are, right? We spend a lot of time going there. I don't mind. I don't mind them being around. I don't consider them competition or anything like that. It just is what it is, right?
Because I know my friend, he worked for the Oregon group. Oregon.
Yep.
I don't know how you say, which I guess is the largest group in Nova Scotia now, right? And he's been, God, he left Kingston and went back to Nova Scotia. He was a Nova Scotia boy like yourself, and he came to Kingston and he went back to Nova Scotia and he back to Oregon. He's with Nissan with them and seems to be doing well. But he says it's a funny thing, eh? Once they get to be where they're the largest player, they've got a real lock on wages and, you know, the whole thing, right? Which is, you know, I can kind of see that. That seems to be the future, Joel, of where this industry is headed on the dealer level side. Is you're seeing these groups like our Chevy dealer in town that had been an independent Chevy dealer since like the 40s just got bought by a group.
Ours did by the Steel Group. Same thing. Yeah. It's now Steel Valley Chev instead of Cornwallis Chev. Like,
I've seen Steel a lot of cars. It's funny, when I lived in Ottawa, I'd see the occasional Steel Chrysler, like Steel, like
Yep.
That dealership group sticker, I've seen them in the back of the car. So, they get around for sure. It's a big group, but
yeah. O'Regan's is more in the city, but
yeah,
we obviously you do see them too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and I would see a couple of them too, especially like my buddy had always pointed out when there was a Nissan and that obviously had gone through an auction, probably a Quebec auction, and winds up in my area because that's where a lot of them go. But a lot of the stuff from the east isn't seeming to make it all the way to Toronto, but it's definitely making it to Quebec. And then we buy a lot of stuff out of Quebec. Some of it ain't so good, but it's cars. They need inventory. So
that's right.
Yeah. How do you find their parts for you? Like, are they keeping good inventory or?
To a degree, I've found. I mean, and if they can't get it, it's a couple of days. Like it's not crazy. I did run into transmission lines on a 2006 Explorer.
Okay.
I can't get them anywhere.
Yeah.
They are completely discontinued. Can't get them out of the States. Like the Ford dealership couldn't help me, so I don't really know what we're going to do with that one. But that's the only time I've run into not physically being able to get anything. And that's not just the local dealer, that's everywhere. But no, they're pretty good about keeping stuff on hand.
Yeah. They might have to get creative with some kind of fabrication for that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do.
A flaring tool or something, some line. And yeah, I've tried to do stuff like that too, though. And I find that unless you can get a crimp, like an actual, like a hydraulic line fitted crimp onto it, you can't, doesn't matter how many hose clamps and how you flare it, it's still leaking. There's too much pressure there, right? So too much expansion. What's the bulk of what comes into your shop then? Like, are you guys, we were going back, do you really go after the tire sale thing, or do you just kind of use it?
Well, for me, it's a little different for me because when I started my shop at the gas station, the deal is they still did all the tire work and I did everything else. So when everybody was 2 weeks behind on tires and stuff, I was 2 weeks behind on brakes and ball joints and whatever. Right. So that was good for me. I never minded that part of it. The only problem is you love not doing tires until the people that are doing your tires are continuously screwing them up.
Yeah.
So now that we've moved here, obviously we've got the tire changer, the balancer and stuff like that. I've got a shipping container out there to store them if people want to do that. But I'm still not going to push it. Like I've got 3 bays, 2 hoists. Okay. When I do have somebody with me, I'm not doubling up on tires. There is way more money in other things. It's just not going to happen. Like I'm going to do 1 bay of tires and 1 bay of everything else and just kind of leave it that way.
Amen. Nothing drove me crazier than seeing like the same car come in and it only gone maybe like 6,000 kilometers since the spring. And there we are in the fall. We're breaking the tires back down because nobody ever sold them, a winter package, rim and tire. So we're busting down their OE rims again, scratching the hell out of them, putting on, some 8-year-old dry rotted, whatever fucking winter tires, no TPMSs. It drove me nuts. I hated the business period for it because I was just like, this was obviously never done right from the beginning. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, we're doing it all day long for an hour. You know what I mean? And we're filling up the shop. We're getting backed up because it's taking longer. The thing that used to drive me nuts is we go pull the tires out of storage and you look at them and like, these aren't worth putting back on.
Exactly.
Well, then it becomes a whole deal because the customer's there, right? You've got them out of storage. You look at them and you're like, these aren't worth putting on, Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith goes, what do we do? Well, I can phone, a tire vendor and I'll get you some tomorrow because we're not a dedicated tire store. We don't keep every possible friggin' thing in stock. And then Mrs. Smith's like, shit, I already booked the day off. What do you do? And that's the part that I hated. So then we're trying to like, okay, like before we put them away, let's document the tread depth. Cool. But we would document it, Joel, and still say, hey, like we took them off. They're at 4. Next year, we're probably going to suggest, and they go, okay, well, we'll see. I might not even be driving it next year. And then they drive in November and they're like, hey, I'm here for my snows. And like, yeah, your snows that we told you about that we stored and like they're trash. Like, what do you want to do? Oh, this will be the last year for it. Like, and they just make it through the winter and somebody goes, yeah, they'll make it through the winter. What I wanted always to think is like, how I am. I'm like, I want to sell them a tire package, rim, tire, TPMS, right? I want to, when they book in, I want to rebalance them, put them on the car, in and out, sell it for 1 hour, retrain the TPMS, gone. Not this 1.2 to break them down, clean the rim, rebalance them. Oh, shit, that rim's bent. It won't rebalance. Put it on hold, call her up, say, hey, did you hit a hot hole? Like, we need a rim now. Blah. I didn't want any of that BS. I wanted, and the detractors, Joel, for the tire thing, for the rim thing, is like, oh, what are you putting on? Universals? And then you get into the lug nut thing.
And the hub centering and all that.
Like, it's not a perfect world, but I mean, I had a friend that went to the work at the BMW dealer. And I'm like, oh, what's like snow tires doing there? He's like, it's the easiest thing in the world. I go, what do you mean? He's like, they literally just call the parts department, and the parts department orders right from BMW 4 rims, 4 tires, 4 TPMS sensors, all reprogrammed. And they build it and put it on the car. And I'm like, that must cost like $6,000. They're like, yeah. And?
Yeah, that's BMW owners.
But I mean, it's not, it would be a caravan. Like, I can build a caravan like package for $500 all day. I'm not making a ton on it, but I can do it. So like let's sell them 4 premium tires for $600. Okay, let's sell them. Well, let's sell them rims, and they're not gonna have any money left. I'd rather put a cheaper tire on with a rim and a sensor than put on a Michelin tire and strip it off every year, strip it back on in the spring, on and off, tear the hell out of it, fuck up the sensors, pardon my language, rebalance the rim, scrape them, stick on waste. You can tell where I'm going with this, right? I got PTSD from this.
Well, there's just so much wasted time with it, right? And I even ran into that. Like I have you talk about the humming and hawing when they take them out of storage or whatever. I told a guy he needed tires. It was okay for inspection, but they were going to need to be done. Okay, well, I'll bring these ones over. So, yeah, okay. Brought them over, put it up, got them all apart. These tires are no better than the ones that you have on now. What do you want me to do? Hums and haws for 5 minutes. Well, what would you do? Well, I'd buy tires. Here's a price. And then he goes, no, don't want to do it. Just put it back up. Great. So there's an hour of my time, right? Plus a lost sale. Like I will never hold on just tires. Like there's so many other avenues to make money and be honest and, Yeah.
So in that scenario, do you charge the guy for your time for that?
That time I didn't.
Yeah.
But I did say to Jaden afterwards, I was like, there's got to be something we can do, some kind of inspection fee or something for doing that, because it's not my fault that whoever did his tires before didn't, tell him. Yeah. Right.
100%.
So documentation is key.
And that's what would drive me nuts. I'd be at one of the former shops, and they're like, customers calling up, how much to do a tire changeover? $149, right? Off rims, rebalance, whatever. We're throwing numbers around, right? And they go, okay, can I make an appointment? Sure. Same thing. You get them out of the car, you look at them, you're like, we can't put these on. Like, I in good standings can't put these on. They're dry rotted. They're the belt that's got cord coming through. Like that rim's bent, the wheel bearing's shot, the tire rod's falling out. Oh my God, you're trying to upsell them.
I just don't want to get sued when it goes down the road.
Why do we even bother? Like, Costco and Canadian Tire are waiting for this customer. Yeah. Waiting for this type of customer. We're not. Why are we doing it? Oh, the old adage, the old thinking, everything that got published in our Canadian trade magazines. You've read them, I read them. Well, that's how you get the upsells. That's how you get you find the brakes and the ball joints. Sure it is. Yes. I want to do it for my established customers, though. I never got into the idea that the tires was going to bring me a whole bunch of new customers. And I know the guys that are going to listen to this are like, you're crazy. It brought me 20% of my new customer base came from tires. I'd rather
good. You can have them.
I'd rather get the 20% new customers from the fact that I have a reputation for being able to do good diag. That's what I'd rather get that 20% from. Yeah. I don't have to buy a $20,000 tire machine. I don't have to buy a $20,000 balancer, right? Yes, I got to buy a scan tool. Yes, I got to get some subscriptions. Yes, I got to do some training. I can put all that in a spot of real estate this big. Right. I'm not
tying up a whole bay.
Exactly. So I find that the guys that make money doing it, Joel, are the guys. And again, when you're paying your high level tech, let's throw a number out there, $40 an hour. to do tires. I don't care. You can show you can show me how you make it pay. It doesn't pay. It's not
Right.
worth it.
Yeah.
You need a bunch of staff if you're going to do it at like the $20, $25 an hour. That's how you make it work, make money. At the dealership when I was there, the last kick at it, you'd be assigned it. It had tires in the RO and something else. All the quick lube kids were the ones that did your tires for you. You got the time, but they did it because it was like they'd be stacked up around the machine waiting, and they would just stand there like they were, God bless them, they worked hard, man, those young kids. But they would do 4, put it on the balancer like it was an assembly line thing, and they'd bring them over to your bay. Like I didn't have to touch them other than take them off the car.
And there was 4 people in a car sometimes.
Yeah.
You
like
know,
if
yeah.
you can't run that in your independent shop, you got to really think like, man, you know, it's different if you're just doing a bunch of swaps. But if you're doing like, oh, Mrs. Smith is here, 4 new rubber, you know, you're going to hit a snag. I guarantee you ain't going to turn that car over in an hour. Not like, or you're going to turn it over an hour, but you're going to bring it back in 2 hours later to do the brake job that you sold, which is, it is what it is. It's not a perfect world. But man, that's the part that I hated. I absolutely hated it because like I should have been doing my DVI, driving the car going, it needs brakes, selling the brakes. Then I bring it in one time. Then I do the tires and the brakes. And they're like, well, how do you know the brakes are bad if you didn't take the wheels off? Again, it goes back to, you know, I racked it. I see that they're metal on metal, or I hear that they're metal on metal, and I sell that inspection, you know.
And don't have friggin' waiters so that you can shuffle that stuff around.
What's your policy on waiters, Joel?
Well, I basically, I leave that to Jaden. She has it figured out. She does like, if the day works out, she does like 4 waiters a day, 7 a.m., 11:30, 1, and like 5.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And a lot of times it's not even that. We don't advertise. We got a waiting space. Yes, we got a couple chairs. You can sit down, fine. But as much as I can, we avoid doing waiters. I've got 2 hoists and I'm one person. So if, like you said, you do your checks and all that stuff, you shove that car on a hoist. Well, now I can move on to something else and we can sell that work. And hopefully if the day works out, it's already on the hoist, the wheels are off it. You can do what you got to do. So that's kind of how we do it. I really try to avoid waiters. And of course, people think like, oh, well, if you're not allowing waiters just because you really weren't that long in the car and you're taking advantage of them. No, I'm not going to have somebody sitting there and tell them, by the way, you need $700 worth of brakes. And they sit there and they go, well, I have somewhere to go, so I can't.
Exactly.
I can't stay. Well, if you left the car all day, that's not a problem.
Yeah. And
right?
Everybody thinks, well, the solution to that is you just need loaners, or the solution to that is you need a shuttle. You know, the dealer thing works for a shuttle because, like, here's the other thing that the dealers do with a shuttle. They pick up the parts in the afternoon, right? So you may need a part picked up somewhere else. A shuttle bus driver grabs it on the way back from dropping Mrs. Smith off at the office. I love, shout out to Mrs. Becky Witt. If you guys are not seeing her, she does her weekly thing. Becky, the most groundbreaking thing Becky ever talked me through was how they got rid of the waiting room during COVID and they never brought it back.
Right.
And she can show you all the numbers, how it went up, not down, up, because they got the people out of the building. Like, and I joked with my former boss. He's like, we got some new chairs for the waiting room. I'm like, you should throw them right in the dumpster. Right. You shouldn't have your customers waiting around. Because I've been at the dealer where, you know, the service advisor, they bill them for an hour diag, and he goes out to them at 35 minutes and he says, hey, your car needs a new ignition coil. And they go, I just watched the guy through the window. Like it didn't even take him 35 minutes. Like it took him 15. And then he went over and, you know, he went to the bathroom, or he was over on the other side of the shop talking to a guy drinking a coffee. Like, I don't want to pay 35 minutes or, you know, an hour. That's the other problem with the waiter, right? Like and I'm not trying to say we're trying to mislead or dupe people or oversell, but the reality is sometimes that's how minimum charges and flat rate work. You know, even from the basics is, I'm an hour allotted for diag. I'm a sharp guy. I figured out in 15 minutes. I'm going to get paid an hour, because the next time I might be 2 hours and only get paid an hour, or my tech or whatever. And then I had a really good conversation with Cecil last year, Mr. Bullard, and he talked about how at 30 minutes of an hour diag sold, they should be coming to you saying, do you need more time or not? At 30 minutes. because he says we're not selling parts in that. So the loaded labor rate is different. And we need to account for the fact that there's no parts on that diag. So it makes all the sense to me in the world.
And that's exactly why my initial diag fee covers half an hour and that's it.
Yeah.
And that way I can go to that customer and say, like, what's your limit on this? Because I'm going to get paid regardless, because I'm going to get paid to tell you all the things it's not, right? Because there's a lot of value in that, believe it or not. And so that's where I start. So it's like, well, if it's $79.95 for that first half hour block, how much more straight time after that? How much are you willing to spend on this problem? Right. And it doesn't. And just like you said, if I figure it out in 15 minutes, it's still the $79.95.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Because I'm paying for a scan tool. I'm paying for the updates. I'm paying for everything.
You're paying for your 20 some years of experience. That's the other thing I say all the time. Like, there's so much that I get from the initial scan and the road test that I'm 80% there most of the time. You know, like somebody comes in and they say, it seems down on power. I want a new fuel pump. And I walk out to it and I hook the scan tool up and I go for a drive and I come back and I'm like, it's not a fuel pump. The cat's restricted. Like, I didn't have to put a gauge on that car. The data is showing me that it's not fuel.
Right.
It's cat. Right.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, well, then I only want to pay 15 minutes. No. It took me 30 years to get to where I can do that fast.
I'm watching your mass airflow data take a nosedive under wide open throttle.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't know that coming in here, but I did when I watched it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other guy that put plugs and coils on it, he didn't know that either.
Exactly.
You know, or I had, we've all had the trucks or the cars. You go up the hill and you wide open throttle it and the O2 drops off. The thing goes pig lean. Well, guess what? Now we're into a fuel problem, right? Or we're probably into a fuel problem. I mean, there's one more check that we do, right? We unplug the MAF and we try it again. And oh shit, she's still lean. Like, I'm coming back and I'm going, there's a fuel problem here. People go, oh my God, I'm not paying an hour for that. I didn't sell you any other parts that didn't like fix it.
Right.
I didn't do a bunch of tests. I just know that this is the next thing that's going to do. Because here's the thing, right? Guys pull a plug out. Like, the amateurs pull a plug out. I broke the plug off, or break the. Let's pick up Ford here. I go to take the coil out, and I break the bolt off of the valve cover. Guess what I'm just selling now? I just upsold a valve cover, just to tell you that it's your fuel pump driver module is bad or something like that. I didn't even need to take the coil out, but if I didn't know what I was doing, I'm causing more damage. This is the other thing where, like, experience and time don't always equate to one another in terms of how, like, oh, I want to flat rate this tech, or I want to, the production is down because blah, 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 blah. I say there's no you can't, there's no metric for what he saves or she saves by not going down rabbit holes. We all do it. We all go down a rabbit hole once in a while, but I didn't damage stuff that was a pointless thing to endeavor to check anyway. That's the beauty of it, right? That's where the training comes in. If we're giving away that diag, we can't even pay for the training. Stupid. I didn't mean to pick on Ford.
Well, they're fun.
They're all junk. Funny story, I was at Canadian Tire today, and my 2015 Wrangler has the original battery in it. I know. 10-year-old battery. I know. I couldn't believe it. I checked it.
How did you do that?
I just use it. It's been used nonstop since I've got it. So it's not like it's ever had a chance to sit. And so I come out of Canadian Tire and I bought the battery there. And you're like, why'd you buy the battery there? Well, because I can get a 4-year replacement with the warranty for what I buy. The parts store can't even touch it. And I had some Canadian Tire money accumulated. The Americans would be like, what's Canadian Tire money? I'll tell you all about it some in another episode. But I had a bunch, you know what it is. Joel knows. So I had a bunch of Canadian Tire money. That helps me pay for the battery. Get the battery, come out. And there's another guy, he's carrying oil out, and he gets into the Ford parked in the line behind me, and he hears me hit this key on my Jeep, and of course, click, click, click. So of course I have a booster right in the back, right? And he looks over and he goes, do you need a boost? I go, no, I got a booster right here. I'm kind of embarrassed or whatever. And he says, because I could get the Ford here and, push it, but you probably don't want that to be embarrassed. It took a Ford to push start your Jeep. I'm like, no, I like Fords. They've made me a ton of money as a mechanic. And he goes, yeah, I'm one too. It's made me a pile. So it doesn't seem to matter where you go, right? Like, it's the same old thing. It's the last The only reason I'm putting the battery in is because I'm driving to Syracuse to fly out on Wednesday morning. So I'm driving to Syracuse Tuesday night to catch the flight to Asta. And I don't want to be coming back and finally have it where I can't even get the thing to start with a boost.
Right.
And like, where am I going to find a battery and an alternator or whatever I need in Syracuse, New York, before everything shuts down when I happen to fly back in? I don't want that headache. So, 10 years is good enough for the OE battery. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Know you a dime. That's actually really good.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe it either. I'm looking like, this is a friggin' original battery. Like, that's incredible. So yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain. It's been a good
vehicle. Did you buy your Jeep new?
I bought it. So it's a 2015. I bought it in 2021.
Oh, so it already had an oil cooler put in it.
No. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
If they didn't upgrade to the aluminum one, right? So it may have been done at the dealer. I don't know. I have one from Dorman sitting here. Actually, when I come back from Aston, I'm going to put it in because it is leaking a little bit around the seals. And it's so funny. I go to the parts counter at Canadian Tire, and everybody's like, the Americans will be like, "What's Canadian Tire?" Well, it's the largest player in the game up here in Canada, right? But I go and I'm like, "How much for battery?" And he's checking me. He goes, "How do you like your Pentastar?" I go, "I friggin' love it. Got 100 and what do I have on it now? 158,000 kilometers on it." He's like, "Oh, is it ticking yet?" Nope, not ticking yet. I said, I change my oil.
If you maintain it.
I said, I change my oil like every 5,000 K. I don't let it go to the oil life is telling me to change it. I do it early. I said, I keep an eye on it. Like I don't, what about your oil cooler? I said, well, it leaks a little bit of coolant when it's hot, but it's not leaking the oil yet. And it's like, it's not leaking the coolant that you can see it. You can just smell it. When it's hot, you can walk past and you can smell it coming out of the cooler. Yeah. So I said, I got a new one coming in. So, because he gets talking about, oh, yeah, because I got an oil pressure switch I got to do in mine. I'm like, oh, yeah, why is that? And he's like, oh, it just threw me a code for that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he's like, and I'm like, have you done your cooler? He's like, no, I got one to do. And he says, I'm just going to do the cooler because the cooler comes with the sensor in it. I'm like, you don't want to put that sensor in there. You'll be doing the job again.
Absolutely.
And he's like, oh, because I think it's a. And then he says, oh, well, I also ordered a sensor from Rock Auto. And I'm like, oh, what brand did you order? And that one with the wings. No shade on them because I do like I like the company, but, and I said, well, this has been my experience with those. They either work or I said they don't as soon as you're done and you put them in and then you got to get back out. And I said, I understand it's a pretty easy job to get in there, but you still have to take the cooler back out essentially to change that thing. So I said, my opinion, just go back on Rock Auto, see if you can buy an OE sensor. If you can't, go down to the dealer, buy the OE sensor. When you do your cooler, put it in. That's probably what I'm going to do. And I've done some coolers. I don't know if you've done them on the Penastars. I've had a couple. I can't get them to come out.
They stick in pretty hard, or the little brass thing will spin in the friggin' cooler or whatever. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So I know Dorman used to sell it completely full, like with the sensors and everything like that. And then they change the part number and they don't put the sensors in anymore and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I'll probably just order 2 sensors right from the dealer and I'll put them in when I have it out and done with it.
And that Dorman fix is sweet. The only complaint I have, and it's just a little bit of experience will tell you not to, is if you read the instructions, they give you the torque spec right in the instructions for those sensors. And you get nervous trying to get to that torque spec, so you just don't.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, I've done a pile of them and I've never torqued the sensor.
Exactly. And I don't either for that reason.
Yeah. Because same thing. I looked at it and it's like well over 20 foot-pounds or something. Like I'm not even going to try and put that in there at that. No, thank you. No, I've done enough oil sending units and all kinds of stuff to know when it's tight, it's tight, and it's not going to leak. Like I don't want that headache, but Dorman get a big, and like I've seen every show I go to now, Lester from Dorman is there and he's a great guy. And we have some awesome conversations. And I mean, they are a fantastic company because Lester has never once ever shied away from a tough question. I'll be standing there talking to him and somebody will come up and give him a smart remark or whatever. And they're just consummate professionals. They handle it like pros. And you have to remember the guys that you're dealing with at the trade show, they're not the ones that are making the decisions on how the parts are being built. So like, yeah, we all rip on them and we say like, but like I go up to him, I go, man, I love that fix for that. And so there's some other stuff too that's not the electronic stuff that is just great. And he says to me, and I'll remind everybody else like this: if you have a dormant part and you put it in and it doesn't work, you can send it back to your supplier and they'll warranty it for you and all that jazz. What Dorman really wants is for you to send it back to Dorman, and they will pay you the value of that. And because what they really need is that part back to understand failure analysis of what happened.
And it's not going back to them when it goes to the parts store. And I get that 100%.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I really like Dorman as a company. I don't care for the things that they just made to mass produce, but anything that was built for a fix. The Ford vacuum hub deletes.
Yes.
They're sweet. The Pentastar oil cooler, they're sweet. Do I want to buy window regulators from them? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the thermostat housings for the 3.6s, and they've got the updated ones in the Chrysler where it used to be plastic and now it's aluminum.
Right.
If you can't
tell crossover thing.
Yeah. If you can't tell me that's not a wonderful built idea, you're just hating on the brand. And I get it. Like we all got stories of I had to do the job twice because of whatever, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I'm not putting a Dorman vent solenoid or a purge solenoid in a car. I'm sorry. I ain't doing it. I
have a Corolla that has come back. And to be honest, I didn't even know it was a Dorman purge solenoid. I bought it through Napa. They use the Dorman number, but it's Napa, whatever the hell,
Solutions, right? Yes.
Yeah. So I put, I think, 4 of them on before I realized that it was actually Dorman, and it was constantly sticking open, causing lean, this and that. And I finally put, I don't know where I got it from. It might have been CarQuest. I'm not sure. But I looked. I was like, okay, I know the Dorman part number lingo. That's not a Dorman part number. And I put that one on it, and it's been going for a year and a half.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right. And it sucks, and I don't like throwing that out there because they make so many good things.
Yes, they do.
You know,
and they really genuinely care. They really do. Like, I mean, I talked to the guys last year at Echelon when I was at SEMA and Apex. I talked to the guys that were like, oh man, some standard Blue Streak, Dorman. And I can honestly say that Dorman like takes it on the chin better than anyone else, because we've bought standard parts that don't work. We've bought Echelon parts that don't work. We've bought, I'm trying to think of the other, Wells is another big, I talked to them. Great company. They're not very big here. They're hard to get. Like if I phone up the parts store and go, I need a Wells, they can't get one. Get one, right? Not a big distributor here. But Dorman is the best for me in sitting down and listening to what I have to say about, like, their parts. And Lester's such a great guy. Like he's been on, I think he's been on twice. He's been on for sure once, and I know he
has been on twice.
Yes.
I've gone through the entire friggin' catalog, and you hear these names and you start to remember, and you start to feel like you actually know them. And when you say Lester, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. And he does. He just seems so easygoing, and he gets the struggle, but he's also trying to communicate like this is what we need to make this go better.
And does.
I think that's great.
100%. Brian Pollock has that story of like it was a purge solenoid or something to do on a Honda, and I can't remember what, but Brian literally, because Brian's the smartest tech I know, uses a lab scope and captures the pintle hump of it was a solenoid sometime closing. I can't remember. He'll remind me tomorrow when I ask him. And literally, so he takes a screenshot, takes the lab scope captures, send them to Lester and says, because Lester, this is what it's doing. This millisecond on time is not enough compared to the OE one. And this is what you need to do. Well, they fixed the friggin' part. They fixed it now. Brian can confidently buy that one and it will work because Brian took them and gave them the data that they actually need. Because you know how it is. You put it on the bench and you test it, run it through a cycle, and it doesn't stick for 50 times. You go, I don't know what's going on. It's misdiagnosed. Right. It's not. It's just that bench is not real world, right? The car is real world. It's that kind of stuff that Brian was able to provide for them is what we need. So that's why Lester says to me all the time, like, if we could get the old parts back, it's to your benefit of the shop because we will pay you for the part. Like, it's not a problem. You'll get credit. It's no big deal. Can they pay labor? No. But we know lots of shops now buying it from Napa. You're not getting your labor covered.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or if you are, it's not at full jam.
No,
So
it's
really
significantly less. Yeah.
What's it really worth? You know, do you get a lot of customers? So what's your breakdown on like how many times you're selling OE parts versus aftermarket?
I find like with Ford, for example, there's, for whatever reason, there's less availability in the aftermarket for them. So we go to the Ford dealership a lot. And that's why I keep saying that, because it's true. We go to them a lot. I am primarily aftermarket until I realize that I'm having a repeat failure that I can prove isn't something that I did, right? And then it's like, okay, no, we gotta do this differently. We are on the CarQuest TechNet program. Okay. So a lot of it, we do have our warranty and stuff like that. But, you know, like you said, the labor warranty doesn't cover when a starter pays $60 and it's a starter on the backside of a Nissan Titan, and you got to pull the intake to do it. And it's several, you know, it kind of blows, but I mean, the chances that you take is it like that most of the time? No, but it's not the end of the world. But I'm okay with the aftermarket side of things, like I said, until it becomes a repeat issue, and then it's like, okay, we got to make some changes. And
rotating electrical. When I talk to a lot of my shop owner friends around here and all over, it's become the worst sector of the aftermarket parts thing in the last 2 years. They say without question, followed by. Can you pick number 2?
There's some places I could go with. Oh my God, don't get me started on friggin' struts. Holy Jesus.
That's it, my brother. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Greg Bowman, runs a good shop here in town. He says no more aftermarket. Nope. Won't buy them out aftermarket anywhere, he says. Won't even buy it. And I used to think like Monroe quick struts were a good product. And I have a friend's Kia that we put a set in 3 years ago, 40,000 kilometers in 3 years, not a lot. And it's not going to make a pile of noise.
Yeah.
And like I said to her, Beth, I said, I can't do anything about it. Like there's no warranty on it. And like, I don't work there anymore. Like if you could get warranty on it, I'd probably throw it in for $50. You know, it's not a hard strut to change. And even if I go, what am I going to do? Go buy another Monroe quick strut and put it in? Like, should I? Everybody's like, oh, well, during COVID, you know, parts supply dried up and they were using whatever. Okay, well then warranty the damn part. Just tell everybody, hey, you know how it was. We're going to extend this, you know, bring in your paper, blah, blah, blah. They won't do that.
No.
What do I buy then? Call the dealer up and order strut mounts? I guess.
That's pretty much it, unfortunately. Like, you know, for a long time, like I don't have a spring compressor because very rarely do you break struts down. But you're getting to the point where, no, I'm pretty much going to have to. At this point and start putting actual good mounts in. That seems to be the only fix.
It's brutal, eh? It's terrible. That and rotating electrical, going back to it. Like, I mean, I again, my good friend Greg, same shop. I don't know how many he was telling me like alternators he was putting on this one Hyundai. Yeah. It was like 6 or more before we finally got it, one that worked. And like to where CarQuest was not warranting him anymore. He'd put it in, you know, and it's it's an ECM controlled system. Yeah. So, you know, it would charge, but it's flagging DTCs and turning the battery light on, even though, until CarQuest is like, well, it must be something you're doing wrong. And he's like, no, man, this is
my least favorite thing of them to say is that. And actually, it's funny you should talk about the rotating electrical, because my mother's 2012 Civic is sitting out there right now. Low output from the alternator. Okay, you know what? It's my mom's car. I'm not going to do any diagon. I'm just going to, you know, it's got almost 300,000 clicks on it. Okay. Yeah. So I put a Reman alternator in it first. And now charging output is great. Guess what? Battery light's on. So what do? Now I get a new alternator.
Yeah.
Charging output's great. Battery light's on. Original alternator back in. Low output. So I know it's an alternator issue. So what do? I'm going to go on WorldPack tomorrow morning and I'm going to get a Denso alternator for my mom's 2012 Honda Civic, and that had better well fix it.
And it most likely will, you know, but I mean, at the same time, like you got to go on WorldPack. You might save $100, you know, between WorldPack versus buying it at the dealer, except the dealer's going to go, what? How
Yeah.
old?
Yeah.
Well, let me check. I can get one at a Moose Jaw, like
Yeah.
5 days to get here. Like
Exactly.
it's not sitting in a warehouse anymore, something that old.
No.
That's the frustrating part for me. And like Greg said, like when they say to him, are you sure you're like Greg's one of the top diagnostic guys in my local area. Like he can diagnose cars. He's not wrong. He can tell you that, yeah, I put it in again. And it's like a 5-hour alternator job. He's got it down to where he does it in like an hour and 20 minutes. Like he's got it done. Might as well be Velcro by now, right? He's had it in so many times. But that's frustrating. And it's not paying the full labor rate is I think at some point the parts suppliers are going to have to make that correct.
Yeah.
And step up to the plate, because otherwise what are we going to do? And I've said it for years, like there's a reason that there's such a divide between the dealers and the aftermarket in this industry is because like so many years ago, you could probably remember, you're old enough and we might still do it. You call up the dealer once in a while for help. Not like I need to buy a part, but can, like, what are you moving a lot of these? Like I got a car here.
Right.
It says, and then as soon as they say, yeah, it's that, we go, okay, I'll get off the phone and I'm going to phone my supplier and see if I can get the part. If we stopped doing that to each other, right? Like if we made the OE part the first call, the first install, the first choice, and they started stop. Here's the other thing, dealers, you're going to have to carry some inventory.
You have to stock it.
But if we started doing that, we'd have a much better relationship with each other in terms of the OE side, I think, and the aftermarket side. But we don't. Right. Because we want to buy this crap from offshore for 1/5 the price so that we can get our parts margin up to where it's the same damn price as what the dealer would sell, or
and expect it to work as long too.
Yes. And then we put it on and we go, that alternator didn't last 18 months. Or the Ford trucks, that was the worst for me because they'll chew the flywheel up. They'll chew the flywheel right off. And it's like, what's the fix for that? Put the OE one on. Oh my God, it costs 3 times as much. Well, now we're doing a flywheel because we skipped out on the starter. Do you mean to tell me that was the right answer? Like, no, it wasn't. But they go, maybe it's got a voltage problem, or maybe that, the solenoid's not holding in correctly because of a volt drop problem that's chewing it could be. But I also know it's not because I've diagnosed it properly. Exactly. And it's just a shit solenoid and a shit gear. And it's chewing my flywheel up. Now I'm putting a flywheel in the car.
Right.
Because I skimped on the thing. It's one thing if the customer says, no, give me the cheapest part I can. I got no problem with that. You put on whatever you want to do then. But when we don't even, Joel, give the customer the conversation of, this is the part that I would really like to put in. Right. And yes, it's a lot of money. And yes, I marked it up to get my margin where it needs to be. So it's even a little more money than what the dealer would sell it to you at, which we know they play that game too, right?
That list price is a gimmick.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it comes from for me. It gets the same markup because to that person, it's like going to Walmart. You're not asking Walmart where they got those grapes from.
Yeah.
That part came from me. It did not come from Ford. It did not come from Nissan, Toyota, CarQuest, Napa. It came from me. Yeah. And I'm going to look after it for you because that's what you pay for. That's why you pay for markup. And no, we don't discount our labor to sell the job.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's frustrating because I know I worked at a shop that like he had a really high door rate. And I've said this before. He had a really high door rate. So what we ended up doing was we ended up putting a lot of not great parts on, but the margin was marked up properly. Like it should be, whatever, 200% or whatever the number is. Like, it's on a sliding scale, all that jazz. I'm throwing numbers that are not, please don't quote me on it. So we would put on a lot of cheap parts because of the high door rate. We were already like, he was trying to be competitively priced. Well, frig, if we didn't have a ton of rework on starters and alternators and purge solenoids and vent valves, and we had a lot of rework.
Right.
We even had a lot of rework sometimes on brakes and brake calipers. That's going back to it, right? Like half of them you would buy, they leak after. Or like, I don't know how many I had that I took out of the reman box and I couldn't crank the piston in on the rear, caliper. It's supposed to be a brand new one. Can't do it. Now it's a 45-minute run to come back from the parts store. They got to bring me another one. Like we were to the point where we almost wanted to say like, hey, send 4 calipers,
Right.
you know, and they'd be like, what? Oh, the joke was like, come on. Exhaust system's another one. Like you might, do you touch it at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of specialized, like, do you have a expander and a bender of any kind, or?
I have an expander. I don't have a bender. It's funny. When I first opened my shop, I bought the Blue Boy expander,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, why, of all the things that you could buy first coming out with not a pot to piss in, why would you buy that? And I'm like, I don't have to stock 100,000 reducers and all that crap because I've got this tool, and it has saved me so many times, because the Walker stuff is only going to work if you buy Walker right from one end to the other, and it's just
and it's going to rot off in 18 months.
Exactly.
That's the part with Walker that pisses me right off, is it's leaking again within 18 months. You know, and it just and again, they've always been that. And I remember when you used to be able to buy a Bosal muffler and it would last forever. Bosal, Bosal. They used to be made right in Kingston. There was a factory right in Kingston that made them.
Yep.
I haven't even seen one anymore.
You can get them on WorldPack, because I have bought some of them and I really like them. That's a good brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Walker shit, it doesn't matter who you buy it from, what line you buy, it's all garbage. It's non-galvanized, like it's rotten within a year. The muffler's blowing out, like I hate it. It's crap. And the same thing, like it doesn't matter. Everybody wants the seals welded because it's a better job, it's quieter, it's actually sealed. And then you go in and you're cutting the pipe to get the flipping muffler off again, or you're the flange rotted out on the back of the resonator again. Now I'm welding a flange on. Like, you might better. I know when I worked at Nissan, we were welding flanges on the factory stuff all the time. And once you put the aftermarket flange on, the thing was good for 2 years, 3 years, no problems.
Yeah.
But you go and put that Walker kit on, and you'd see it come in. It had an all new kit on from like about a year ago, and it's already leaking. It's already rotted out. And you're like calling the customer, oh, we're putting a flange kit in this. And then they say, oh, I only want to pay $100 to put a flange kit in. No.
That's not how it works.
No, we need a little more labor than that, because like I'm going to weld it in. It's going to be done properly and measured and fit and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, that's $200. I can buy a whole. Yeah. So go buy a whole system then for $600, put it on, and come see me again next year when it's leaking again. Like, stop with it already. The OE pipe lasts. We just have to work on it. Speedy will do it. Well, then why the flip are you in front of me? If Speedy will do it for $100, why are you in my friggin' waiting room telling me what Speedy will do it for?
Right.
You already know. You want me to do it for 90? That ain't happening. Come on. I'm a dealership. Like, expect more than Speedy. Like, it just, yeah. And I'm not the greatest welder, so it would frustrate me to have to do it, right? And I was meticulous about it, and like,
I love welding. It's just one of those things. I love making things work that way and it not end up being a hack.
Do you know how many mirrors I have screwed up with welding slag trying to weld the top of the pipe?
Yep.
Squinting and I welded right to the mirror again. Like, it just, I hated it. I've had lots of systems that I just took the whole system out, put it on the bench, put my pieces in, put it back in the car. It's not the fastest way, but it fit perfect, and I got a good weld. Like, I was
do that with the Toyotas, because that, they break theirs up into 2 pieces, the million converter piece and the muffler. Well, guess what? I'm yanking that converter off, and I'm taking those heat shields off and welding a band around them and all that stuff. And that's way cheaper. I can do that for $300-400 versus that pipe is $1,300 from Walker. And guess what? You're going to be back in 18 months, whatever.
Look at the newer Mazdas, that the cat manifold with the flex pipe right on the back, right? That flex cracks and breaks all the time.
Yeah.
And if you go and buy the aftermarket one, guess what? Well, you sealed it up, but you get a 420 DTC. So then what do we do, folks? Do we put a spacer in, like when nobody's looking, to get rid of the 420 DTC? or do we install the OE part? Okay, you install the OE part. Well, what's that cost? $1,400 plus labor. It's a $2,000 job. So this is the whole thing for me. Like, I look at that and go, I should be able to sell that customer the labor to remove that, put in a universal flex, and put it back in the car, and I'll still be less than $2,000. You can't tell me that's not a good repair. That would be the repair I would want. But yet everybody's like, I can't sell them that because I'm selling them $1,400 for a fix versus $2,000 for a brand new. This industry's got to get back to where we're proud to fix things and actually sell the fix, not sell the new part. And I know we're supposed to be selling parts. You're coached to do that because that's your second half of your profit. But when it comes to Canadian cars and exhaust,
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy, for sure.
Do you guys still have emissions testing in Ontario?
So here's the thing. I love this because we just brought in the new. So you guys have mandatory safety inspections, right? We
have inspections, but we don't have emissions.
Right. And you do your safety inspection every 2 years? So right now we brought it where we're not doing like you guys, where if you own the car, you've got to get inspected every year or every 2, excuse me. They think they're talking like they're going to roll that out in Ontario because here's what we did. We said, okay, Ontario citizens, we're not going to charge or renew your license plates anymore. And everybody, oh my God, that's amazing. That's just great. Like, you don't buy a sticker. You don't do nothing. You own the car. You just like keep your registration up, but they're not charging you. That's great. But everybody went, wait a minute, what are they doing that for? And the talk
There's a catch here.
The talk is at the same time they rolled out a new safety standard that had to be all done with a tablet now. So we do a tablet, right? And we take photos of everything now. It's not like the old stuff where it was like, yeah, it's good. Like everything is documented on a tablet with pictures. And in the process of doing this, Joel, they ask you, are there any check engine lights on in the car? And they ask you to hook up to the OBD too. Now it doesn't fail the safety if it has a check engine light on, but they've made it part of the process now that they're scanning the cars. So we think that pretty much instead of having the dyno system testing the way we used to do in Ontario, that they're going to do the way the California and the states always did it, where it's, where they tried to do it last time in Ontario, which was just a readiness monitor. But all those European cars that wouldn't come up, they wouldn't, essentially when you people were complaining, they had brand new Audis, brand new Mercedes, brand new whatevers, and they go to the testing center and say, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready. And they go over to the dealer and the dealer's like, nothing wrong with the car. Everything's all ready. They'd send them back. You do retest and retest and retest. It was a software thing. So that's what got the system scrapped here. It was too hard to implicate on those cars. But I think it's coming back. It's only a matter of time. They keep saying we just did a scan tool. We just did a tablet update through Ministry MTO Ontario, and they didn't change anything on that side. But they keep the rumors are it will be coming within probably the next calendar year. Now if we change premiers, it could all go.
Exactly. I get that.
Yeah, but
so now do you guys have like? Is there a certain dollar amount that you have to charge? Like, is it a government mandated thing? I don't honestly know that because I think there is actually like you can't charge more than no, that changed. No, I can charge as much as I want to do a safety. That's right. I can charge as much as I want because now with the tablet thing, when they brought the tablet out, everybody thought it was going to take 2 people to do it. Right.
And it was going to take a lot longer to do. I can tell you now that when I already have the car on the bay and I already have the wheels off the car, I do them in about 32 minutes, right? All the inspection that needs to be done and photographed and evidence and all that kind of stuff. But if you're bringing in, that's cars that like I'm getting ready to sell at the used car lot that I work at. Now, when a customer brings me a car and I have to do a safety on it, it takes me a lot longer because I road test the car. I pull the wheels, inspect everything. What slows that process down is again, because we're doing it when we're doing it, they want to start estimating the work that needs to be done because nobody wants to pay for a retest. So what happens is like, I'm inspecting your car for safety. You want to sell it to somebody else. You're going to do all the repairs that it needs. Well, shit, it needs brakes. Shit, it needs a muffler. Shit, it needs this. So all of a sudden now we're prepping and it's adding time to it.
Right.
But just from what I do every day, 32 minutes, safety's done, clocked.
Yeah.
And that's if I do a pre-inspection on the car, I go for road test, I inspect the brakes. If it needs brakes, it needs whatever, I do it. And then I do my safety after all the repairs are done. Where it gets tricky is when the customer brings it in, we have to decide we're doing a repair or not. A lot of these cars come in, Joel, and it's like, oh, never mind, don't fix it. I'm getting rid of it. because it needs too much. Everybody wants to sell a car right now safetied. Well, shit, going back to your rust thing. Oh, I got a 2012 Equinox. It's only got 150,000 kilometers on it. Cool.
It's already had 2 sets of rockers put in it.
I was going to say, I condemned one last week. 125,000 kilometers on it. Ran awesome. Check engine light on for an oil control valve for the VVT, but it ran good at the time. I go to put it on the hoist. Nope. Start lifting it from the pinch welds. Rust starts falling out from underneath. I go ahead and lift it anyway, but I'm like, yeah, this one's done. They're like, it's done. What do you mean it's done? It's done. It's rotten. Yep. Oh, it's only got 125,000. I know. They should have undercoated. Here's your pitch for undercoating again, guys. Like, didn't need to be done every year, but the first 3 years of his life, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Exactly. So somebody came and bought that car as is, and they took it somewhere where they're either going to get a lick and stick safety or they're going to get somebody to throw some rockers on it. But I like it because now we're not putting a lot of junk back out on the road. Right. Like it drove me crazy to put brakes, tires, and struts in stuff that doesn't have rocker panels. And in the old way of doing things under safety, we all know we all did it. We all did it. Everybody in Ontario did it because it was so gray area as to does it pass or not. I know my friend told me like you guys can fail rusted brake lines, right?
No, you can't fail rusted ones. They have to be leaking, but they could be ballooned up the size of your thumb, and you know they're going to fail a panic stop, right?
Right.
But if they're not leaking, you can't fail them.
Okay.
And it's sketchy because you want to document that and make sure everything, and you definitely don't want someone going down the road where you just stickered it and then it comes back with a blown brake line, right?
But you see guys get creative too as to how ballooned up the line is too, I'm sure, right? Like
right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Do you like doing brake lines?
You know what? Brake lines is one of those things. I actually do like doing them because my mindset is if I know a job is difficult, I'll do it. No problem, right? It's the easy jobs that go to shit that make me savage, right? So when you tell me that your 2004 Chev half-ton needs brake lines behind the gas tank, give it to me. I'll do it. We're all under the understanding that it's hard to estimate that kind of work because obviously they're brake lines. And yes, I'm not just going to cut the old ones and leave them in there. I'm going to pull the other 15 lines from where nobody wanted to take those lines out. It's all coming out and being done right. Yeah. So as far as brake lines go, I actually do quite enjoy them.
Okay.
And you're not scared. I hope nobody in my area hears that because I don't want to be inundated with brake lines for the next 3 goddamn weeks. But
But you're not scared to charge to do them right either.
No.
Yeah. See, I work for guys that it was an hour a line. And I'm like,
no, that ain't going to fly.
Are you fucking nuts here? Like an hour a line? Like, how do I, because you know what? Without them saying, you know how they want it done. Just stick it in there. As long as it don't hit the drive shaft or the ground. It's done. And I don't like doing it like that. I hate it. But again, you know how it's like you talk about it. Well, we might have to remove the gas tank in order to run the fuel and brake lines. What's that going to be? Well, we're going to be a fuel tank,
Now you're into straps and everything else.
We just took a leaky brake line job for $300 of what somebody's, and it's now we're into a $2,000 job. Like this is where in Canada, the challenges that we face is a lot of people don't appreciate. My friends in North Carolina, they just shake their head and go, what are you talking about? Like we got 2003s running around here with the original brake lines on them. And I'm like, not up here.
Must be nice.
No, it just doesn't happen. And, the guys in the Rust Belt, we all see Eric, it's the same thing, right? Like he's cars that are 8 years old up there. He's putting in the scrapyard because that's where they belong. There's so much salt. I don't like doing brake lines because the very first guy that I ever mentored underneath, he would be 2 days doing them. Right. And it looked OE. You could not tell when it was done that it wasn't the OE lines on the car. I would see him doing them, and I'm telling you, like he was 2 days on them, and the car wasn't worth the time that was spent to do it. Like we're talking old Toyota Cressidias. You're probably not even old enough to remember what a Cressidia looked like, but like imagine a Camry that was uglier.
Right.
Was like a 1984. Gross. And in 2001, we're doing this. And it would be 2 days, and they looked OE, fuel and brake lines. That was the only way he'd do it all. but the car wasn't worth that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't worth the job. So finding that middle ground, Joel, of like, how do we get the thing back on the road and safe, but not completely exceed the value of what? That's the trick for me. And that's why I want no part of it. Like, give me the stupidest, hardest diag job.
Right.
I'll rather do that than run fuel lines and brake lines.
Yeah.
The first thing I touch, the straps break, the bolts where the straps go into the frame bust off, the bolt comes out. Oh, look, there he is with a torch. You've seen the guys use a torch to get an old Chevy fuel filter off. We've done it.
Yes.
Like, they go, what? Oh, yeah. I've worked with lots of guys that do that. Listen, it's only the vapor that starts, not the fuel. Right?
That's right. As long as it's wet, you're good.
Meanwhile, you're outside, like standing in the shop, waiting outside in the parking lot, waiting for him to be finished before you come back in, because you just, you don't want to see your friend become the Human Torch.
No.
I like the diag jobs better. I like than those kind of things, because I'm always like, I always know what most people charge to do it, and I know we always go over. And those are the kind of jobs where it's like, well, it was still a $2,000 job. Yeah. Okay. So it was, still got 8 hours labor out of it. But frig, man, like, we were on it a day and a half. We went over,
Right.
There was a whole, like, I didn't get all my fittings because I didn't get the exact estimate on fittings we need. And like, I gave them the fuel tank at cost, or the pump at cost, or the fitting to repair the fuel line. I gave that at cost, because it wasn't on, like, it's like you said, it's too hard for me to estimate. It's
extremely difficult to estimate that stuff. You really have to vet your customer on that and just say, like, look, this is where we're starting, and we kind of have to roll from there. And that's why, like you say with the diag stuff, I'm kind of with you on that one, because yes, it's hard. Some people think that when you dumb it down and you say, well, it took me 4.5 hours to find this broken wire, and they say, oh, so all you did was fix it and you charged me this much. Well, no, that's not what you're paying for. Like, all the time and all the testing and all that, right? Like, that's different.
Eric O had a video that went out just the other day, and it was a truck that the 4 coils on that side of the 6-liter. It was like a 2009 Silverado 6-liter. There's no spark on one side of the engine. We know what it is. It's a ground, right? It's the ground.
Down behind the power steering pump.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. He he leaned on the line to the power steering pump and thought he was going to break it off. Thank God he didn't. But, like, we know that if that winds up in the other shop, you know what it's getting. It's getting an ECM, it's getting a fuse box. Right. And then they're going to say it's got to be a harness somewhere. But it's getting the fuse box and the PCM first.
Yeah.
Right? Well, frig, he diagnosed it in under an hour. I mean, the guy's a brilliant. But I mean, like, a lot of us have diagnosed that in an hour or 2 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? And save the customer a ton of money.
But you look like a dick for charging it. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I'm good with looking like a dick, honestly. Like,
that comes with the trade, okay?
Yeah. And listen, if I wasn't comfortable with my level of dickness, I wouldn't have this podcast. Because, I mean, I wouldn't be. Like, it's okay. Like, some things are going to rub people the wrong way, and you can't make everybody happy, and that's all right. If we vetted our customer properly, and again, it's the same thing. I catch a lot of flack because they say, like, most service advisors in the industry right now are not cutting it, and they go, oh, they're selling great. Their numbers are awesome. Yes, their numbers are awesome, but the customers, we're not changing the customer's perception of really what we're doing in terms of when they leave, they still don't really understand. Like,
that's the big thing right there. Yeah. They have to understand before they leave. You can't just say, hey, you need a fuel pump. You need to explain to them, well, fuel pressure low, this, that, or whatever, right? Yeah. You can't just say you need it and that's it. Like, they have to see the value in what they're getting.
Yeah.
And that's where they fall short.
I've always been totally cool with telling a customer when they came in and they thought they needed a fuel pump, and all it needed was like a broken wire under the fuse box for the fuel pump fuse or the fuel pump relay or the IPDM or whatever, right? The modules on the back for Fords that always rot off. Mm-hmm. Totally cool. I'm totally cool with selling them that and some diag time that is less money than a tank and a pump. And they go, I don't want to pay for that. It just seems like the value. Let's back up for a minute. The repair that you expected to get you know in your head is going to be around $2,000. I'm doing the repair for $600. But as soon as I say I just fixed a wire, you don't see the value in $600. That's where the advisor has to step up and go, no, this is the time that we took. This is what we were doing in that time. This is the level of expertise that it actually takes. I'm paying that guy $55 an hour to go out there and prove that it's only a broken wire and not 3 parts that don't fix it before we finally call a mobile guy in. That's right. If you can't have that conversation with your customer, you're not that good an advisor, in my opinion. No matter how many thousands of dollars you sell at the end of the year, you're not doing what the industry needs to be done to fix the industry in the eyes of the public. And right. that's like a big concept for a lot of people, and they're going to argue it, and that's cool. Totally get what you understand what I'm saying, though, because like if we want to improve it where it's an easier sell next time and an easier sell the time after that until they just completely trust us, we have to have that conversation with them every time.
Right.
And that's where training our advisors is so important, not just training them on how to have conversation, but the technical training that they have to be taking right now is a lot more than what we've ever given them.
Exactly. And one side of why I like running the business is because you know what it's like. It's a game of telephone. It's you to the shop foreman, to the service advisor, to the customer, and all that information gets lost throughout, right? And you're right. There is a training aspect to that. So in the situation that I've got here, like where I've got my wife running the front desk, a lot of times when it's a really complicated diag explanation and all that stuff, I'm still going to go out and deliver that to them and sell them on that. But what that's doing, not only is you're getting that firsthand from the person that diagnosed it, but you've also got Jaden sitting there and she's listening to what I'm saying and how I'm saying it to that customer. And I find she calls upon me less and less and less. When somebody calls, she learns the questions to ask. She doesn't just book people in for brake stuff. She says, what are you experiencing? And then she's learned how to sell a brake inspection first. And how many people, she used to get so much pushback on that when we first started because she didn't know how to sell it. And now it's like most people are like, well, yes, I would like to spend the $58 or whatever the hell it is for that peace of mind of knowing that I'm not going to be spending XYZ on calipers I don't need or whatever, right? And that even goes with Diag. Like she sits there and she listens to what I say. And then I can write out my story and she can deliver that to the customer in a way that they believe what she says. And now, mind you, I still like going out and talking to people because it's now I can say, here's what I found. Here's what and even when I worked for somebody else, if it was complicated, I didn't mind going out and talking to somebody because I knew that if I relied on my ex-boss's wife to try and relay that, she was going to come back out to me and say, well, what do I tell them? Tell them what I wrote because that's what they need to know. That's how you're going to instill trust in what we're doing. If you can't deliver that, then you need to find somebody that does. And I'm that person to go out and deliver that because I'm the one that found it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
Question for you. You hear some people talk about when they're doing diag in a shop, they're doing a couple things. They're doing a retainer, and sometimes they have a different labor rate. Do you do either one of those things?
I do in some aspects. I do have a different labor rate for that kind of thing, but it's more along the lines of like I said, I've got that set diag fee and it costs this much. And on the other side of that, you look at your labor as a unit sold versus rather than time, right? And it's worth this much to diagnose that. And on the retainer side, what I will do is rather than get a physical retainer, I'll say, do you want to spend, I say typically when it comes to this kind of thing, it costs between $200 and $300. If you're okay with that, we will move forward. If you're not okay with that, then we need to have a different conversation. And if they give me the go ahead on that, then it's like, okay, well, they know what they're going to spend and they know that I won't go any further without contacting them, right? I'm a huge proponent of getting paid for your diagnostic time. There was a shop in town here. He's closed down now, but he used to send me when I opened on my own and my old boss a lot of his diag and a lot of his like complicated AC stuff and all that.
Right.
And I always found that every single person that came to us, you almost didn't have to let them know how much it was going to cost because they just wanted it fixed at that point because it came from another shop and, but you were able to say, again, how much have you spent on it? Well, I spent this much. Are you willing to spend this much more to get to the bottom of it? Yes or no? Right. And that's kind of how I've done it. Like, you just have to be transparent.
And transparent, and it comes back to that emotional thing. Like, I have never felt sorry for somebody that used my competition to get a less than satisfactory result.
Right.
And people listen to that and they go, well, that's a really arrogant thing to say. You should be every day trying to be the best that you can be in your area at a certain particular thing. Like, you don't have to be the best diagnostic tech. You could be the best tire shop in town. That's what you should be doing. If somebody goes to the Costco or the Canadian Tire and they get their tires all screwed up and they come to you, let's say you're an OK Tire facility, right? You're an OK Tire franchise. You're the best. You got the best hunter machine, all that kind of stuff. If somebody comes to you and they've been screwed up at some shop and they come to you finally to get this vibration fixed, I've never felt sorry for them if I had to go in and use my skills to fix their car. Because I look at it like, I got a good reputation. I got the skills. If I'm a little bit more money and they roll the dice and they gamble and they lose, that's gambling.
Right.
We talk all day about that. I never felt sorry for that person that gambled because they didn't use me. It's different if they didn't know I existed, right?
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But if they know I existed and the reputation for me is, oh, that guy's, he's expensive, I'm going to go try someone else. I don't owe you a discount then because you tried somebody else.
Right.
If anything, I should be not extending the same, what's the word? I shouldn't be extending the same graces to you, a stranger to me, that I might extend to my established customers. You can take that any way you want. And pricing, and people call the idiot fee or whatever, right? Like, I'm good with it because like I am going to stand on business that says like I am the best person around to diagnose your car.
Right.
I'm not. We're talking facetiously here.
Yeah.
So if you've gone to the local guy and he's thrown 3 parts in and it didn't fix the car and now you need me, I'm going to start with a $500 retainer that says I have to go in and check what he did or she did.
Right.
I have to check what parts they put in. Are they even the right parts?
Yeah.
Okay. That all takes time before I can put the vehicle back where I can start at the beginning. Because that's the thing. When we get it from somebody else, we can't start at the beginning. We don't even know where the beginning is.
Yeah,
no.
And that's 100% right. And when when we start diag that's been somewhere else, that's a huge thing. It's like, in some ways you're right. You don't know where the beginning is, but you almost have to find that beginning, and you have to say like, look, you are paying for what's already been checked because I don't trust that it's been checked properly, right? Mm-hmm. That same shop that is no longer there. One of the diags that they sent us was like a Camry with no, what was that? No high beams. Okay, fine. Let's look through it. They had panels flipped up. They had things, they had poked wires. They had done all this stuff. And what was the fix for it? 2 headlight bulbs, because they run them in series, right? So one went out, the other one went out.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, you got to pay me for the time, because all I did was I went on, looked on a wiring diagram, went, oh, it goes in there, it goes out there, and it goes to ground. Okay, I bet you one of these bulbs is bad. Oh, there's the bad bulb. Let's change them both. We're done.
Yeah.
Right. And that is worth something. And I had to start at the beginning to figure that out. What do you do when something comes in with no headlight bulb operation? You put headlight bulbs in it. Like, that's it.
I still say the same thing, right? Unless it's got a really easy access relay or a bunch of like data PIDs that I can look at, I'm still going to the headlight bulb first. Yeah. And that's the part when we drop the ball on those kind of diags as an industry, those are the ones that the people that hate us online, the DIYers that talk such shit, we give them the ammunition to talk like that does about us. Because the most basic thing is you go to the headlight bulb and check what do you have there, what's missing. And if you've got everything that's supposed to have, then put a friggin' headlight bulb in it, like fix the car. Don't question yourself why are both bad. My old service manager a long, long time ago, it was a legendary car for him. It was a joke because he had gone through the same thing. It was an older Chrysler product. He tried to switch, tried to relay and something else. Both bulbs were bad.
Right.
And he's like, I've never seen a car come in with both bulbs bad at the same time. I don't know why both bulbs would fail. Power surge, who knows? Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Just instead of starting at the basics, the fundamentals of what he should have been doing. And let's think about that. We're talking the old seal beams, right? They're not hard to take out of any car back then. But why would you not do it that way instead of take a switch out of the column and jump this and piss around with that? And no. I know lots of, it's bit some really smart techs in the past. I'm not naming names. It's just it has bit them in the butt because we overthink it. That's what we do. It's part of what makes us so effective sometimes, and we're all human. I've never talked to a shop owner yet that was perfect or a technician that's perfect. So give your people some grace. So I got to ask, how do you handle, like, with your small operation, the kind of that you've seen it in the comments and the conversations, do you implicate any kind of DVI, or just kind of like, do you kind of respond to what the customer's there for?
I don't know. I struggle with the DVI thing because in my area, I have seen the dealerships use a DVI to try and instill trust, but they're showing people things that aren't actually bad. So, like, the case was a local dealership. Somebody went to them, they did a DVI, and they said, "Hey, I'm your technician, da 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 da," and they went, "Here's your brakes. They're at 230 seconds and they need to be replaced." And then they pull the camera away. Well, if you stop and you look at that picture, you're like, no, that looks more like 4 or 5 30 seconds. And you're just playing on the fact that you're showing them, so they must believe you. Mm-hmm. And I really struggle with that. So for me, like, I would say 95% of the pictures on my phone are of things that people need replaced. And I'll take my phone, I'll take a picture, and I'll say, "Look, this is what we've got going on." Yeah. And we can discuss further from there. As far as it goes, like, I like the idea of DVIs, but I think that they can still be used in a greasy kind of way.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I don't use them. I just do really good documentation, and I have a good rapport with my clients so that I don't want them to feel any certain way. Right.
Yeah. Because
that's sort of where I stand with it.
The conversation, again, it popped up again today, was like, and my former guest, Curtis, he was talking about, like, the guys don't want to do them because it's like, and again, somebody else in another chimed in. It's like, well, it accounted for 60% more in sales last year. Cool. You mean to tell me then that it's 60% more that it accounted for in sales? You can't pay your technician on every one of them?
Nobody should be doing them for free.
Yeah, 100%.
That's 100%. Not, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one person in a shop that should be working flat rate, and that's the owner. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I never worked flat rate in my life until I opened my business. And if I have an employee, they're going to be hourly. And if you pay them hourly to do that DVI, if you so choose to do it, right? There's only one person that should be taking that hit, and it's not a technician.
Yeah. And, I have to say it again, because everybody thinks like we talk about flat rate in every episode, and we don't in almost every episode. And, because it's still very the prominent issue, or not issue, topic of contention, I guess is what you could say. It's a better way of saying it. That's moving forward in the industry, I think, is because it's very, I have a great friend, Zeb, that runs a shop that is top notch, and Zeb like pays his guys flat rate, and it works.
He's sharp.
He's so past sharp. It's not even funny. He is brilliant. And not only is he brilliant, I say it all the time, I've never met somebody that has the kind of cojones, the confidence, the balls to be himself. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care. He's like, "I'm the best shop in the state. You can take your shit somewhere else. It doesn't bother me. If you need it fixed, I'm here. This is the price." And that's what it is. And he doesn't back away from it. He promises that he takes care of his customers. When he makes a mistake, and he does make mistakes, we all do, he comes good for it. He does what is necessary. He's just, I love the dude. Love him. I have so much respect for him, because it's that confidence that goes back to that I say like all the time. You can't be that kind of owner unless you've been that kind of tech. Right. So it's one thing to get up there and say, "My guys are the best in the industry." Can you turn a wrench? Can you go out and lead them? Can you go show them what makes the culture of this shop so important is because you're that level? If you can't, then can you really appreciate how good they are? And are you really qualified to know when they're not that good? Like, again, I think it comes back to they're looking at numbers, and they're not looking at what actually they saw. Like, look at Zeb's video where he's showing you the diesel that the crank gear slips, and how he fixes it, and he built a puller, and he takes the gear off, and like, dude, we're talking about like somebody that has figured out something that saves the customer having to buy a whole other engine. But here's the reality. Most technicians would never even figure out that problem in that. And Zeb does with a lab scope. And he goes, instead of selling the customer an engine, This is my fix for it. And it works flawless. Like, we're talking a 1 in 1,000 technician with him. Like, it's just incredible. And that's just the technical side. The way he's set up his business, and like, Zeb loves it when you say you can't do something. Because he's literally like, motherfucker, watch me do it. And he does. It's amazing. I'm blessed to have the friends that I do. And we don't always see eye to eye on every little thing. Because, like, I'm right there almost on anti-flat rate. And yet Zeb's an example of where he makes it all work and his guys want to be paid that way.
Yeah.
But again, because they're not looking at the book going, oh, I can't charge more in the book. Like, he's looking at it going like, well, all that takes me this amount of time, and I'm going to do it faster than most of my guys. And he breaks it down into the middle and he goes, I'm going to charge all that. The job's got to be worth this. A fuel system on a 6.7 has got to be worth this, or I ain't doing it. Exactly. And all these guys are going, and Zeb's laughing. He's like, they're doing fuel systems in 6.7s. You do the math out, they're paid themselves minimum wage because they want to pat themselves on the back for being the cheapest to do it. He's like, I didn't build all this on being the cheapest. And that's where this industry has screwed up, is because we think we need to build it on the cheapest, and we don't. We need to build it on being the best. And that goes as a technician, that goes as an owner, both.
Right. And when somebody says, oh, that's awful expensive, or you're quite expensive, it's like, in some ways that's a thank you, I guess, a badge of pride, because it's like, you know what, by being at whatever pricing I am, I have weeded out a lot of the people that are like, that's too much money compared to what, you know what I mean? So it kind of feeds you. You don't want to be the cheapest person around. And that's just what it is. Like, and I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm almost anti-flat rate, except for, like you say, there's people that make it work, and I'm glad that they do. Yeah. And there's a way to do it without being slimy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's proof of that, right?
Yeah. And then what Zeb sets his shop up is, so it's like, if the car gets diagnosed, it gets diagnosed by Zeb. And then the flat rate guys go and put the parts on. Now, I'm not saying Zeb is not making his hours doing diag. He is. But he's an exceptional diagnostic tech too, right? Same as Brian Pollock, like same as my buddy Tommy Markham, same as Sean Miller, same as, I could go on and on and on. Brett, Keith Perkins, they're all exceptional. So what might take somebody a day to track down in a car, they'll track down in a couple of hours.
Right.
We don't have an industry full of people like that yet. We want to get there. So just because Zeb or Keith or somebody diagnoses, and Brandon Steckler diagnoses the car in an hour, doesn't mean that's none of us can charge more an hour. That's horseshit. Horseshit. As long as we show the testing that we did and our process, and we don't go down rabbit holes that we don't have to go down, charge as much as you can.
If you can justify your time, it's worth it.
You're giving the customer value, saying, I didn't put 6 coils on and then try something.
Right.
I didn't try an ECM and then try something. Right. I eliminated the ECM. That took me an hour to eliminate. I eliminated the coils. That took me an hour to eliminate. I eliminated your fuel pump. That took me whatever time to eliminate. Yes, our process, as it gets better, we can eliminate a lot more things faster. But like, shit, if I give you 3 hours diag and I show you $3,000 worth of parts on your car that are still good, that's value. That's way more value than $3,000 that I got to eat, or I got to charge the customer for that didn't fix it because I called in a mobile guy and he put in a missing relay, or he put in a missing fuse. That we don't want in this industry, and we have to get away from that. And it's not about flat rate. It's just about showing value. And that, again, comes down to the advisor role, right? They have to have the stones to say, you're paying this amount because this is what we're giving you.
Right.
We're giving you testing results.
And sometimes you have to show them, we're giving you all these results, but that's not all you're paying for, because we have all these things that we have to pay for in order to save you. I saved a guy, he thought he needed an engine, and it was another Ford, and it was a variable valve timing solenoid that was his issue. And there were the previous people that I rented from said, well, don't go to Joel because he's ripping you off. And he clapped back at them and was like, look, he just saved me $3,000 on an engine job for $500 worth of diag and a variable valve timing solenoid replacement as part of that. Like, you know, that you have to show that value, because if you show that value, then that customer can go to bat for you. And he did, right? So that's kind of how I see it. I mean,
and you got a customer for life, and that's what we always want to build, is customers for life, right? We don't want to burn them up on every time.
No.
Where do you want to be in the next year, Joel? If I was to drive out and see you, visit your, not drive out, probably fly out. I would love to drive to Nova Scotia today. But if I come to, you know, your little corner of the world, where do you want to be in a year from now?
Well, there's a lot going on for us right now. We're going to have a baby in April.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm kind of gearing up for that, right? I want to get somebody in here that can work with me so that I can maybe focus a little bit more on that, because obviously Jaden's going to be going on mat leave, whatever. So yes, I'm still going to have to be working in that time, but I need somebody here that can sort of work. Like I would almost do the out front stuff and have somebody else out back, right? That's where I kind of want to be. We're doing things slow right now because we've only been in this space since May, June, right? But that's where I'd like to go. I mean, the space that we have here doesn't allow for much more than a couple of people.
Right.
So I'd like to maximize on my space. But overall, like I just want to provide for my family that is going to happen. And I think the best way to do that is to stop wearing multiple hats and focus on running the business while I'm down a person and kind of go that way. Yeah.
And that goes back to that old, we saw the conversation come up, kind of a one-man kind of show like you and you are with Jade. I don't mean to disrespect her, but when she goes away, that's kind of the whole conversation. Do you hire a really good service advisor, or do you hire a technician and you step into Jaden's role? Like it all, that's going to be the tricky thing to figure it out. But I think you're going to get there. I think you've got all the talent that you need. It's just, making it.
And who's to say, like I made more money by hiring Jaden out front, because that was the whole thing, is people think you got to hire more techs. No, if you can't get as much as you can out of them, don't bring on another one, right? That's so right. Jaden gets as much as she can out of me. So if I can step into that front role and hire somebody, and then I'm still there to help get as much as I can out of that person, right? And that's kind of because, the whole working on the business versus in it, or owning a job, right? Like right now I do kind of own a job. Like, let's be real here. And I don't want it to be that way forever.
Right.
So that's sort of where I want to head. Well, I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but that's where I want to head.
Yeah. There's nothing stupider than a shop that has like 7 techs and is convinced they need 7 techs, and they're not billing 7 hours a day for each tech. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's dumb. And everybody, and the conversation always come back to the techs are not producing enough. Techs are not producing enough. We got to stop that shit and go, first of all, if you've got 7 techs in the back, you need 2, probably 3 advisors.
Yeah.
And then they got to be like absolute killers in terms of converting those DVIs or the inspections or the diag or whatever into repairs. If you don't have that, hiring another tech doesn't fix it. Hiring a better advisor fixes it. Exactly. And then we don't have to blame the tech for the low production in the shop, because production, you all heard me say it, that's more on the ability of people to convert the repairs into sales. That's production.
Yeah. That's
what the customer came in for, was with a broken vehicle, and you're supposed to produce sales off of that. It's not about, it's a 5-hour repair, I need it done in 3 for production. No, it's a 5-hour repair. You need to get where it's like, by the time you do QC and everything, you get it close to 7 with a matrix, and you want them to do it within 7.
Right.
I said it. Oh my God, you only want them to be 100%? Yeah, I want them to be 100%, because I can show you some absolute killers that are running good stuff. Their guys are not at 100%. They're at 85, 80. When it's slow, maybe they're down to 70, but they're all happy. They're all willing to die for their owner. That's it. Because again, it's strong people on the front counter converting what we find into sales. I can't say it enough. It's not, I can fix the stuff in the back. I can fix the cars. If you can't convert the value into dollars, you don't even need me. You don't even need me, right? I'm only costing you money at that point. Get rid of me. Get rid of me. But get rid of me and realize you've just decided we're going to change what we are now.
Right.
Right. I say it all the time. Just stick to being a tire shop.
Exactly. And you can't torture a mechanic out back to try and make that money. Because when I first started, I took Murray Voth. I know you've had him on.
Yes.
Fantastic fella. I took his in-class training. And he said like 90% of your time and money lost is out front. And I saw that when I worked for somebody else. I remember I wasn't there for very long, and they sat us down and they said, how can we get more out of you? Well, when we start at 7 a.m. and I go to grab a set of keys, and the boss's wife comes out and doesn't let you take those keys out because she wasn't there early enough to put key tags on it, that is a couple of minutes of her flipping through a recipe book thing looking for a key tag. That's time wasted. Yes, I was hourly, so I don't care. But when you sit there and say, how can we get as much time as we can out of you? Well, it starts out front. Yep. And ever since that, like I took Murray's course, I put Jaden on Murray's course after that, and she's implemented those things. And it's just made things so much better, because out front is where you lose that. And when I get involved in out front, when I try to put my fingers in there, that's when we friggin' lose out. So just let her do that job.
That's good on you that you admit it. And that's the thing. I saw so many things where it's like, okay, Mrs. Smith, we knew she was coming in for brakes, but the parts aren't here yet. Why the parts aren't here? Well, she called on Monday and the appointment was for Wednesday, and I forgot to call on Tuesday to have the parts shipped over. Okay. So what does the tech do while you're waiting for the parts to get here? Well, he racks it and takes it apart. No, that's not how
those parts show up and they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That's whatever.
Yeah. Going back to the tire thing. What if you take all 4 tires off the rims before somebody has pulled them from the storage bin, and they're all sitting there broken down, right? Rims are there, polished, new valve stems ready to go in, and you go, we're not putting them tires on. Now what do? Do you go and get them out of the scrap pile and put it back on to get the bay freed up? No, it's shit hits the fan, panic level 10. Right. Yeah. That's all avoidable. Again, where? Front counter.
Out front, yeah. 100%.
So again, people that you keep hearing me talk about this production thing, before you go after your techs and say, I need you to do more, or we're not hitting this because of that, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at I'm going to say it. No disrespect to your wife. Look at your wife or look at your daughter, look at your son that's working the front counter and go, what are they doing that I really don't want them to do? And I've asked them not to do it before and they're still not doing it. Fix that first before you come after your people in the back. Because your people in the back, you sour that culture, guess what? Production doesn't go up, it goes down.
It takes a nosedive in a hurry. And that's one thing, like everybody says it, and I will agree. Techs make shitty shop owners. I am a shitty shop owner. I'm going to tell you right now, right? But what I am is I am an advocate for those people. And that is one thing I need to keep in my brain as I move forward and out of the shop and into the other side of things, is you still have to be an advocate for that tech. You still have to realize that a lot of the shortcomings may not be due to them. And there are slow people out there. I get it, right? But but you can't really say that about you, because like you said, you're doing diag stuff,
Yeah.
There's people that change parts and they're really good at it. And there's people that do diag that are really good at it. And they may not be good at the opposite. You can't really help that. Right. But who would I be to sit out front and be like, what can we do to get more out of you? Full well knowing that I haven't gotten as much as I could out of you because of my own screw ups or my own shortcomings. Like I said, it's the little things. It's the having to wait for keys. It's the having to wait for a phone call or anything like that. Wheel locks. Jesus, don't even get me going on that one. Like,
yeah, I know. And it's the same thing. You tell that advisor, you tell them, did you ask the customer where the wheel lock is? No. Well, it's probably in the car somewhere. There goes 5 minutes. There goes 5 minutes. Is it in the trunk? And that's in the trunk is the best case scenario if they're not like so many other people we know, that the trunk is piled up from the Victoria Day holiday.
Right.
that's still all that shit still in the back of the hatchback because they never bothered to carry it in the fucking house. So you're moving 100 pounds of gear just to look where the spare tire is to see if that's where the wheel log is. None of that is the technician's effing job. It is the service advisor's job. And if they won't follow that first step of the process, booking Mrs. Smith in for tire, fire their ass. Get them the hell out of your business and bring somebody in that will do it the way it's supposed to be done. I don't want to hear the excuses of like, I forgot. Or, you know, she says we didn't put it back last time. I don't want any part of that. Don't want any part of that. None. I'm going to call you up and my paperwork's going to say, if we have to look for your wheel lock, we're charging you time. If your wheel lock is missing from the car because this is the first time we've ever seen it and the dealership used a master set or the dealer tech last time didn't put it back, I'm charging you to remove them. You're signing all of this, agreeing to, because I am not going to piss around on a 1 hour tire job and lose an hour looking for a wheel lock key and then figure out how am I getting the lug nuts and how am I selling the lug nuts. And that's not happening. That ain't happening. You're going to get a $100 bill for 4 new lug nuts and the time it takes to remove it. And then we're going to go to your tire job because because if you think those little stupid wheel keys are stopping anything from happening on your car, theft-wise, they're not. It's stopping efficiency.
Yes.
And we need to be efficient, and that's how I'm going to do it. And again, it's a simple thing. Get the service information. Get the fucking mileage. Get the fucking wheel lock key. If your advisor can't do those two things, fire them. Get rid of them. I'm sorry I said it, but it's the truth. They're You're
not sorry.
You can tell by the tone of my voice I've worked with people that can't. Right? And it comes back to, because like, here we go. We might be giving a family member a big arse chewing when they're failing to do it, but that doesn't excuse it. You have to perform. I'm expected to perform every day. You're expected to perform every day. Everybody's expected to perform.
Family is not the problem with that. You know what I mean? Like if you're not willing to discipline somebody that should be used to you being that way, what makes you think you'd be able to discipline anybody else? Like, and that was part of the issue at my first job. It's like, if you guys can't communicate with one another to keep this going forward, or if one of you's scared of the other or whatever, then why are we doing this? Why am I the one that has to suffer? Why am I the one that has to stay late or not eat my lunch at noon or whatever because of what you guys are doing?
We love the word leadership in this industry. We love it, and it's a buzzword, and it's a true thing. Yeah. I'm gonna piss some people off, man. If you can't lead your family, you're not gonna lead your business.
Right.
And that's for the people that put a bunch of their family in their business. You have a friggin' God-given responsibility to lead them in life, which means you lead them. You set the example and you hold them to it. If they won't do it, you lead them again by showing them the consequence. You can't just say that that's the way that's going to be because they've always been that. It doesn't cut it, especially when you go to work. It's one thing when it's at home. Don't fuck up your family relationship by trying to have mediocre performance out of your family at work. Don't do it. It'll cost you more damage. I saw a guy I worked for a long time ago, his son and dad. Son's a fantastic mechanic. They couldn't work together. And when they couldn't work together anymore, they didn't talk to one another for a decade.
Right.
You think that's how you want to run your business? If they're not, then don't waste time. Don't damage the family relationship to try and make it work.
And that was the biggest thing that I said to Jaden. I said, if there's ever a point where this is going to completely affect our home life, like if we're not going to get along at home, one of us has got to go. Yeah. And that's the big thing. Yeah. So
Joel, I don't want to keep any more of your time, buddy. It's been a great night and I appreciate you coming on. I definitely want to pick up more on this because I think we can really go down. Maybe Miss Jaden comes on too.
That'd be great. I'm sure she would. She definitely, she keeps me in check. So she's got lots to say too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we do it before the baby shows up. Maybe we do it after the baby shows up. It's whatever you think. But I mean, I keep saying I want to try and get to the East Coast one day and come out there and see it. My parents have been out there and seen it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And shout out to my buddy Adam McBain that's out there now. He just loves it out there. Like, moose hunting and fishing and bear and the whole thing. Like, he just lives for that life. So, one day I'll be out there and I'd love to see it. So
I highly recommend it.
Yeah. I want to thank you for coming on, man. I'll be thinking of you when I'm down in North Carolina and you're,
still working on rusty vehicles up here in the Great White North.
And then when I go to Vegas, I'll think of you too. And I'll see Murray Voth at SEMA. Most likely he'll be there. That's where I met him first time last year. And then he's a great guy. And I'll be sure to,
he remembers everybody. So yes. I'm sure,
he certainly does. I mean, what's amazing about Murray is when I mention Murray and I say where I work in the area, he can rhyme off 10 shop names in my area that he's had direct contact with. At least 10. Like, he'll even ask me, well, I think that one was going to be sold to this person. Yep. Like, he's got his thumb right on the pulse of somebody. He's a brilliant man.
He is. He's amazing.
Yeah. All right, brother. I will let you go.
Awesome.
And everybody, as always, thanks for being here tonight. I love all these. And like I said, if you want to try and get that trip to SEMA, Apex, check out the Facebook page. Do what you got to do. Cross your fingers, say a little prayer, and you might go to Vegas with me. Then look out, we're going to have some fun. So, all right, everybody. See you next time.